The Curse of Burnt Cove 1. It was an early Friday morning, on a crisp autumn day in New England when the Hendersons arrived in Burnt Cove. Commander William Patrick Henderson, USCG, was to take over the command of the local lighthouse and rescue station. He arrived with his 18-year-old daughter Victoria. Vicky, as she preferred to be called, was 18 years old and had been the lady of the house since the death of her mother. Unfortunately, in the same accident that took her mother, it took her bowel and bladder control, leaving her in diapers since then. Vicky had one other problem: she was sick of moving and very vocal about it. Another move, another new house, Victoria said as got out of the truck with her father. Why do we have to keep moving around the country? Vicky, I work for the government and they move me where I'm needed, her father remarked as he slammed the door of the Land Rover. They both looked around before entering the only restaurant for 20 miles, Dave's Diner. As they entered and immediately drew stares for the normal clientele. Sitting in a booth, they picked up the menu and began looking to see what looked good. A middle-aged redhead approached in a light blue uniform. Now who do we have visiting our town? I'm William Henderson, the new commander for the Coast Guard watch station. He offered his hand. Shaking hands with the waitress, he introduced his daughter. This is my daughter Victoria. Victoria was a petite-sized teen at 18, long brown hair, and green eyes. Welcome to Burnt Cove, Maine. I'm Edna, my husband Dave and I own this establishment. It's a small town but we're friendly folk. How old is your daughter? She's 18. What luck, so is mine. Cynthia, she called, and out from the back a petite blonde strode. Cynthia, meet Victoria. The two nervously shook hands. So what do around here? Asked Vicky. Cindy answered, not much, I have lived here all of my life. I've been moved around most of my life, Vicky explained. The moves happened more often when I reached 12. That's when the government started sending my dad to some of the more out-of-the-way places. I've moved about 7 times in the last 3 years. So where are you going to live? Cindy asked. My dad brought the old island manor, Vicky said. You're kidding, aren't you? Cindy said, suddenly serious. No, he did. Why? That house on which island? It's haunted. Legend has it that a witch used to make the winds drive boats to the rocks where they sank. She would capture the youngest survivors and use them as slaves. And when they were older, sell them to Satan. Cute story, but witches don't exist, neither do ghosts. Vicky, her dad brought her back to reality. I need to get to the watch station. If you want, you can stay here with your new friend. Here's some money, just in case. You can meet back here, then we can go to our new home. Cindy called back to her mom, can Vicky and I go? Her mom said, yes, but be back before dark. The two girls left the restaurant and looked around town. There wasn't much to see. The entire town consisted of a general store, a hardware, sporting goods store, 2 churches, 3 bars, and a small antique mall. Cindy said, let's stop in there, pointing at the antique mall. It's my grandma's store. The two girls entered a small shop filled with countless knickknacks, and an elderly woman, polishing some of the silver from a display case. She smiled and said, hi, Cindy, who's your friend? I'm Vicky, I just moved here. Oh, so you're the one moving to Witch Island, she said with a smile. Don't worry, if you're pure at heart, nothing can happen to you, but take this. She pressed into her hand a silver rosary. Don't let the ghosts keep you up at night. I was born in that house, 90 years ago. It was on a Friday the 13th and a very stormy night. The house belonged to my father, and had been passed down for 10 generations, but the upkeep was too much. It also was so far from the town, so we moved. No one has lived there in 70 years. If you want to see your house from the shore, you can go to the bluff. That's where we were heading, Grandma, Cindy said as she came out of the back room, kissed her grandma on the cheek, and they left. They walked down the main street past Lou's Tavern of Ill Repute, to where the road turned sharply. Walking down a gravel road to a high bluff, Cindy pointed to the right. You see it, with its steel bridge connecting it to the mainland. That was my great-grandpa's doing, he was an engineer. The house looked like something from a badly made horror film, creepy but better than some government-issued housing. Vicky turned to Cindy and asked, if you know so much about the house, would like to stay the night, I'd sure feel better. My father spends a lot of time with the rescue stations and watching the coast from the lighthouses. I'll ask my mom, but I don't know. Let's go explore some more, Cindy then said. The two were off. It was about 5 p.m. by the time they made it back to the restaurant. Vicky's father was waiting, so was Cindy's mom. So what did you two do today? Well, I got to see the town, I met Cindy's grandmother, and I got to see the house. That's good, honey. I have some bad news. I won't be able to stay at home tonight. The station is a disaster, and it's going to need a lot of work. Will you be able to manage? I think so. Can Cindy stay over? Cindy's mom overheard this and immediately answered for her daughter. Cindy can stay over, just let me pack her a few items. Cindy looked at her mother, almost as if she was ready to cry. After they ate supper, Cindy's mother gave her a duffel bag with her essentials, as she called it. Vicky's father drove them home. Vicky, your nighttime things are in the big box next to the stairs, don't make too much of a mess. Vicky and Cindy entered the house and turned the dial on the old light switch. They were standing next to a large spiral staircase and in what appeared to be a ballroom. While looking around at the ballroom, Cindy accidentally knocked over one of Vicky's boxes. The box fell with a loud thud, scaring both the girls. They screamed. The two girls then realized it was only a box hitting the floor. As Cindy lifted the box, its contents spilled out. The box was filled with disposable diapers, cloth diapers, plastic pants, and diaper pins. Vicky felt so embarrassed she wished she could vanish like a ghost. Cindy bent over and felt the diapers. Are these yours? Yes, she whimpered, tears welling up her eyes. Cindy looked relieved. Want to see mine? You wear diapers too? Why? Let's just say if I didn't, the results would be disastrous, Cindy said with a smile. And to be honest, I soaked myself when the box fell and I need a change. So you wear them all the time? Vicky questioned her new friend in disbelief. Yes, I hope this doesn't affect our friendship. No, I wear them too, but I use disposable diapers during the day. I usually carry a change or two in my purse. That what I did when I went into the bathroom today. That why I stopped at my grandmother's. My mom and dad are always too busy to change me, and don't like me changing in the restaurant. Want to change each other, Vicky offered. I never changed anyone my own age, but I'm willing to try. With that, Cindy grabbed some of the diapers and some nursery print plastic pants and went to work. Cindy changed Vicky, and told her she felt jealous that she had plastic pants with nursery prints. My mom used to buy them for me, but quit when I turned 16. The only way I can get them now is if I buy them myself, from my own allowance. Vicky said, if you want you can use some of my baby pants, I even have some rumba panties. Vicky changed Cindy and they both got into their nightclothes. The two girls dressed in diapers, oversized t-shirts and fuzzy slippers. They started to explore the strange old house, each with their own flashlight. They started their search on the first floor. From the ballroom they walked over to the study. On the wall above the fireplace was a painting of an old man in ancient naval dress. Below on the mantel was a sword from the Civil War. Were these left by your family? Vicky asked. The picture, the sword, I don't know. I've never explored this house, so I don't know much about what's in it, Cindy replied. I thought it was in your family for 10 generations, Vicky questioned. It was. Just after my great-uncle died here at the age of 2 years old, they slowly started to move into town. He died under strange circumstance, so after that my family never came back. I guess it was too painful. Did your family build this house? Vicky questioned her friend as she started a fire in the fireplace. The foundation was laid before the Revolutionary War. The main house, consisting of the kitchen, basement, and pantry, are all original. The rest was added on by my family. My family acquired it after the trial and execution of a woman named Annis MacDermott. She was prosecuted and tried by my ancestor, the Squire Matthew Macbeth. It was a witch hunt. She was tried and hanged from the big tree overlooking the bluff where I showed you the house. Where was she buried? That's not known, Cindy said, adding wood to the now growing fire. Let's look around some more. With that, the two set off to explore the rest of the first floor. First, they entered the study from the right of the ballroom. The second door from the study led to the dining room. The room contained a lavish oak table and several chairs, covered in dust. The two started drawing faces and words in the dust as they passed through. Entering the kitchen, it was quite apparent that this was part of the original house. The walls were constructed of field stones. There was huge fireplace and wood stove. They sat in stark contrast to the modern gas stove, refrigerator, and the kitchen table. There was running water, but it was cold, not hot. Upon flipping the light switch, nothing happened. Fuse must be out, replied Vicky. I wonder where the fuse box is. Cindy pointed to the door behind her, maybe in there, or maybe the basement. Well, there's only one way to know. She pushed open the door. This led to a small hallway leading to a set of stairs. The first door of the hallway led to the laundry room and a small half bathroom. In the middle of the hallway was a door, marked pantry. Pushing open the pantry door, they two girls found the fuse box, after replacing several fuses. The rest of the lights came on in the house. Next, they went to investigate the stairs. Peering down, they saw a large expanse of boxes and cobwebs. This place looks gross, Vicky remarked. Do you really want to go down there? I mean, the place is a mess, Cindy replied. We might as well, it is part of my house. What do we really have to be afraid of, unless you believe in ghosts? No, Cindy shot back. Then let's be on our way. Slowly they descended, pushing aside gossamer sheet of old dusty cobwebs, until they found a light switch. A bare bulb lit in the middle of the room. All around them were old boxes, and the remnants of what could have been a massive garage sale. They walked around the room together, trying to guess what was in the boxes. Suddenly, from across the room, they heard a crash, and a horrific yowl. The two girls screamed and jumped up, grasping each other. Who's there? Vicky stammered, shining her flashlight in the direction of the yowl. He, Lolo, Cindy stuttered. Silence. They were both shining their flashlights in all directions. The next yowls was followed by a mew. Looking on the floor near a fallen coat rack was a small grey kitten. It's a kitty. I filled my pants because of a kitty, Vicky said, walking over to the frightened kitten and lifting it in her arms. You're not the only one who filled their pants, Cindy said. What are you doing in the basement, Kitty? Cindy said, petting the very dusty kitten. It looks like he got in through that broken window, Vicky said, pointing to some broken glass. Let's get him something to eat. With that, they both left the basement. They stopped in at the utility room, just off the kitchen, to check if the movers had set up the washer and dryer. They were there, so they went and looked in the fridge for something to give their new friend. Well, my father bow milk, you find a bowl and I'll open the milk, said Vicky. Cindy found a bowl in one of the cupboards. So do you think your dad will let you keep him? Probably, he's let me have pets in the past, Vicky added. Now what he needs is a name, Cindy said as the dusty kitten lapped milk from the bowl. I know, said Vicky, Dust Bunny. It sounds strange but fitting, Cindy said. Both girls then sat down, only to remember that they were still wearing messy diapers. They just looked at each other and giggled. I guess we need to change, but before we do that we're going to need a few things. Vicky and Cindy went back to the boxes stacked in the ballroom. Opening a box marked Vicky's room, she removed a pink diaper pail with bunny pictures on. Reaching inside, Vicky pulled out a pink changing pad and a box of baby wipes. Now where do you want to change? Here or the bathroom just off the laundry room? Cindy looked at her. The bathroom would be more convenient, I guess, both us having messy pants and all. As they wandered through the kitchen with their changing supplies, Dust Bunny followed them. As each got down of the pad to be changed, they talked about why they were in diapers. Cindy spoke first. When I was born, I had a hole in my spinal column, spina bifida. The hole was repaired. I was very much a normal child until my mother tried to toilet train me. After a couple months of trying, she took me back to the neurologist. He told her to stop trying, it would only frustrate her. My condition was not repairable and I would need to be in diapers for the rest of my life. I accepted it, my mom accepted it, but once I started school, I was teased often and this gave me many emotional problems. I was always afraid and avoided everything. That when my mother decided to homeschool me. Vicky finished pinning Cindy into her diaper and pulled up a new pair of nursery print plastic pants. She commented on the fact that Cindy had no pubic hair. I use a depilatory cream once a month. Doesn't that hurt? Asked Vicky. Not really, sure makes cleanup easier. Vicky smiled when it was her turn. I found an easier and more permanent way. When I was about 9, my mother and I were in a car accident. Some drunk crossed over the midline and struck our car head-on. When I came to after 2 weeks in a coma, I was in diapers, and I was told I would need them for the rest of my life. It was then that I learned that my mother had been killed. My mother as a beautician, so when my father and myself went through her item, I found my mom's electrolysis machine. It's great you don't feel it, maybe a little zap and the hair is gone forever. Cindy finished diapering her friend with a pair of light blue satin romper panties. You know, we still haven't found a place to sleep. Wanna go look upstairs? Cindy said. First let's rinse out these messy things, then we'll go upstairs. Okay, but I'll race you. A short while later, the two girls were slowly walking up the grand staircase. A long satin carpeted spiral, leading upstairs into the darkness. Holding their stuffed animals in one hand, a flashlight in the other, the two girls slowly made the climb, Dust Bunny slowly following in tow. If one had seen the two of them, they would not believe that these were two 18-year-old girls, but rather a couple of preschoolers. At the top of the stairs was a small table that overlooked the ballroom. Looking over the edge, both girls were awed at the ballroom, all lit up as if some party was soon to arrive. Turning around, they shined their flashlight down the long dark hallway. Each one taking a side, they felt along the wall for a light switch. Vicky felt something and turned it. Soon the lights were lighting the hallway from the sconces they were set in. They could now see the stairs leading to the 3rd floor at the end of the hall and 4 closed doors leading into the bedrooms. Well, what do we do? Asked Cindy. Each take a side or stay together. Let's stay together, okay, this place is giving me the creeps, Vicky commented. You too? Cindy silently nodded. Standing aside the door jamb, they slowly pushed open the door and shined their flashlights in. They found themselves being blinded by the flashlight reflecting off a full-length mirror. Reaching around the corner, Cindy pushed the button and the lights went on. What they saw was marvelous. A large red satin-covered canopy bed stood in the middle of the room, and near it a full-length mirror, and a closet. To the left of this was a folded changing screen. 2 large dressers stood covered in dust. The two entered the room and felt the soft, down-filled mattress. They wandered over to the dressers. Opening them, they found a large ring of keys. Both girls looked at them and tried to guess what they were for. Then opening the top drawer of the second dresser, they found a large strong box. After a bit of trying, they figured out the right key and opened the box. Inside they found little of value, some old letter, written in a language neither one of them could decipher, and many pieces of faux costume jewelry. Do you believe people actually wore things this gaudy? Cindy commented. I know, makes you wonder who they were trying to impress, Vicky agreed. Upon opening the second drawer, they were met with a surprise, a large ivory tube, with a dagger tied to the side. While unwrapping the dagger, the tube opened and out popped a map. Looking at the map, they both agreed if this is a map of the house, they had a lot of places to explore, and most of them were concealed. But how, they wondered. Picking up the dagger and map tube, they left the first room. Come on, kitty, Vicky picked up the kitten so as not to lose him. The second room was decorated in a more feminine style. The colors were either patterns or pastels. Again they found another set of key, but these were different from the first. I wonder what these were for, Cindy said, holding them up. They're nothing like the first set, Vicky answered. In the closet they found many beautiful turn-of-the-century gowns and several corsets. Both the girls agreed that these must be torture devices, because no one is built like that. While searching the one dresser in the ladies' room, they found another strong box, and after a bit of fiddling with it, the lock broke off. Cindy jumped back and said, "It's not my fault." Inside they found 2 lockets, each with the picture of a small child. Cindy, look at the picture closer, she looks familiar, but I'm not sure where I've seen it. The next room was very stark compared to the other 2. A plain canopy bed, and pitcher, basin, and a small chest of drawers, and a closet were the only object occupying the room. The look through this room rather quickly. Vicky made an awesome discovery when she found a gun belt, with an empty holster. She put it on and was acting like a cowgirl. She used the holster to carry the map tuber and dagger. Walking across the hall, they opened the final door that was closed. This led into a nursery, complete with 2 cribs, a changing table, and a rocking chair. Wow! Vicky said, I always want to have my own nursery. Cindy, let's stay here tonight. Yeah, we could act just like 2 babies, like we're dressed like. Both girls giggled. But first, Vicky said, let's continue with the expedition, to discover what lurks in this creepy old house of mine. The 2 girls exited the nursery, walking past a full bath at the end of the hall. Hey Cindy, look at this. I've got a bathtub that would fit both the babies. Vicky, if you don't have any bubble bath, I packed some in my duffel bag. Great, Vicky replied. With that, they left the room and headed up the next flight of stairs. Looking down the hall, they saw another room door, a bathroom door, and a set of double doors at the far end of the hallway. But what they saw on the left-hand side of the hall made them interested. Moonlight was filtering in through skylights in what appeared to be a drawing room. They also noted a closet just as they entered the hall. Where do we go now? Vicky asked, feeling more comfortable in the empty house. Dust Bunny made the choice for them. Quickly from behind the girls, he ran into the drawing room. The girls followed and found him swatting at a moth that had come in through a broken pane of glass in one of the windows in the drawing room. Cindy picked up the kitten so as not to lose him while they explored. The room was round and contained at its center a sundial, several chairs around the outside edge, an easel, a tea service on a tea cart, and a pile of canvases in the rolled up and stuffed into a corner of the room. The 2 girls first looked at the badly tarnished tea set. Let's not have tea, Vicky said, making a snooty English accent, for I fear spider webs do not go well with crumpets. Again both girls giggled. As they headed toward the canvases, Cindy noticed a small trickle of pee run down Vicky's leg. You're leaking, Cindy shouted, you naught baby. Vicky turned around and made a pouty face. I know, I just couldn't help it. Well, we should get you changed, Cindy said. Vicky walked up to Cindy and looked down the back of her diaper. Pu, who needs to changed, she said. She then pushed her hand on the mess in her friend's diaper. Okay, so we both do, Cindy said. Giving one final look around and picking up the kitten, they both headed back down to the laundry room where they had left their changing supplies. Instead of changing, they picked up the changing supplies and moved them to the nursery. Each taking turns on the changing table, they were again ready to explore. Returning back up the stairs to the 3rd floor, they headed straight to the drawing room. Picking up the canvases and unrolling one, they screamed in alarm. Every one was painted with hideous images of torture and mutilation. So graphic they made both girls want to throw up. Well, whoever did them was one sick puppy, Cindy said. What do we do with them now? Vicky asked Cindy. I don't know, let's ask your father when he comes home. Yeah, in his job he's probably seen worse, Vicky commented. With that they left the drawing room. Walking past what they thought to be the servants' room and the bathroom, they headed for the double doors. Each grabbing a handle that flung them open, dust puffed up from the furnishing with the whoosh of air. The two girls saw before them an elegant master bedroom. A large brass bed was in the center, 3 large sets of drawers stood to one side, a huge walk-in closet was on the other. The floor was covered with a soft sealskin rug. A balcony door stood closed and large fireplace stood beside it. Would you look at this place, Vicky said in astonishment. Unreal, you could live in here alone and never have to leave for anything, Cindy said. Quickly both the girls started looking through the drawers and closet. Surprisingly they found very little in the way of clothes that were there. You'd have thought that with all the other rooms we'd find something interesting in this room, Cindy commented. I did, cried Vicky. Vicky stood with an old steamer trunk she pulled out of the closet. She looked through the 2 key rings to find the key to open it. After trying 3 or 4, she hit the jackpot. She opened the chest to find a black satin cloth covering the contents. Ripping it aside they found bones, all human, an entire human skeleton. Holy shit! Vicky exclaimed. Slowly she lifted up the skull and found a box underneath it. She handed the skull to Cindy, who looked into its dried sockets as if it would tell her a clue to its identity. I hope you're not one of my ancestors, Cindy said as she reverently set the skull on the floor. Vicky by this time had removed the box and had opened it to find a very old revolver, possibly from the Civil War. She closed the box, looking at Cindy. We've got to call the cops, or my dad, or someone. She was becoming more frantic by the minute. What do we do? What do we do? She said over and over. Cindy remembered, don't you have your father's cell phone? It's downstairs, let's go. They grabbed Dust Bunny and ran down the stair to Vicky's backpack. Flipping it open she quickly dialed 911. New London County Sheriff Department, what is the nature of your emergency? The voice said. We've found bodies in my house. Bodies? What type of bodies? Well, not really, just a trunk full of human bones. Where are you calling from? My house on which island? Please, you gotta believe me. I'm sending an officer out to you now, please tell me your name. Victoria Henderson. Your date of birth? The 13th of September 81. You don't understand, we are alone. My father is the new commander for the Coast Guard watch station, and we need help now. Miss Henderson, an officer will be there in about 5 minutes, please stay calm and stay on the line with me. Time seemed to last forever, before they heard the sirens. Outside 2 sheriff's cars pulled up followed by an USCG rescue vehicle. They entered the house, Vicky's father first. Vicky grabbed him by the hand, Cindy grabbed the other and led him upstairs. Look at the bones, they both said. Only now the chest was gone save the skull that had been placed on the floor. Her father picked it up and examined it. You got that hysterical over finding a skull in steamer trunk? I'm terribly sorry if she has caused you any problems. Her father apologized to the sheriff officers. It's her first night alone in a new house and you know how teenagers' minds get. Yes we do, sir, but we will need the skull as evidence, so we can file a report and turn it over to forensic for testing, the lead deputy replied. They placed the skull in a bag and examined the room, finding nothing more. They left. Victoria Elizabeth Henderson, what's wrong with you tonight? Her father asked. I know you're in a strange home, but to concoct stories and call the sheriff. But Dad, there really were bones and a chest, we only put the skull on the floor. Cindy said, she's right, Mr. Henderson, I saw them and I put the skull on the floor. So where did the other bones go? Anne. Hello, his voice trailed off as he felt something against his leg. Picking up the kitten, has asked, what your name, little fella? It's Dust Bunny, we found him hiding in the basement, can I keep him? Yes, you can keep the cat, but call me first before you go off and call the police. I've programmed the number into the cell phone, and children, go change your diapers because you both really stink. Can we show you our nursery, Dad? Vicky asked. Your what? Come on, we'll show you. Vicky and Cindy lead him to the nursery they had set up. Fine, if you want to sleep here, go ahead, but cover the mattresses with a plastic sheet first. Let's go change. Before he left, her father told her, I put a pizza in the freezer if you would like to make it, and the satellite guy is coming in the morning so you'll have TV tomorrow evening. Her father kissed her on the forehead and said goodbye. Heading back to the watch station. Did we just imagine the other bones? Cindy asked Vicky. They were there, we saw them, I touched them, they were there. Come on, let's go back up there and see what happened to them. Looking at the cat sleeping in Vicky's crib, I guess Dust Bunny has decided that he's had enough excitement for the evening. Cindy asked, shouldn't we change like your dad suggested? Why do you need one? Not really, do you? No, I just want to get going and finding out what is going on here. Walking back to the bedroom, they noticed that the door to the maid's quarters was open. I think the police forgot to close it, but since it's open, let's give it a look. Entering the room, they found it quite cramped, a simple bed, dresser, and a small mirror on the wall and an average-sized closet. Well, this is really no frills living, Cindy said. Yeah, Vicky agreed, but what's this? She had opened a drawer on the nightstand by the bed. Within it she found a pendant, looks like one of those crystals you buy in the mall, she said. Cindy looked at it, but black glass? I've never seen anything like this. When she handed it back to Vicky, the top opened up, and a small slip of parchment came out. It contained a single name, Melteroth. The name was written among many symbols and in the center of a Star of David. I wonder what it means, Cindy asked Vicky. I guess we're going to the library tomorrow. I'm going to see what all of this means. Vicky concluded. Let's go look back in the master bedroom. That trunk full of bones couldn't have gone far. Shoving the paper back into the compartment and taking the crystal, the two girls left. They slowly opened the door to the master bedroom and looked inside suspiciously. Looks clear, Vicky said to Cindy. So far, Cindy agreed. This is strange, Vicky said, walking over to the bed, picking up the box with the revolver still in it. I wonder why the sheriff deputies didn't take this. Maybe they thought it was your father's, Cindy commented. Well, let's give this place a better search before we go to sleep. The two girls searched the room from stem to stern, finding nothing but old dust balls. Now this is really bizarre, no secret doors and the window has not been opened, it's still locked and I don't know if we have the key. We don't, I tried all of them while you were searching the closet, Cindy commented. What's left to search? Vicky asked. Only the closed closest by the stairs. Well, do you want to search there before bed or are you too tired to go on? Let's get some sleep, Cindy yawned, we can continue the search in the morning, then we'll have my mother drive up to the library in Ashwipon. Well then let's go. Both girls made their way down the stairs. Vicky asked, which sheets do you want, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Care Bears, or My Little Pony? Cindy chose Beauty and the Beast, Vicky took the Little Mermaid. Good night, they said to each other. Vicky settled down to sleep. As she slept, dark images filled her dreams. She saw grizzled old hag, with wispy grey hair, a long gnarled hand, sunken eyes, carrying a knife. Slowly they walked up a small flight of stair, to a cauldron containing the bones she held earlier. The skull is gone, she hissed. Those terrible children, they will be my next meal. The hag then turned towards her, raising the dagger over her head, aiming for Vicky's chest. The 13th of September 1999. Simultaneously Vicky and Cindy jerked awake. Looking around, Vicky said, shit. I've leaked and my bed is soaked, how about you, Cindy? Cindy only stared off into space. Cindy! Vicky yelled. Cindy snapped out of her trance. Looking down and feeling around, she said, "I've leaked more than wetness." "How high is it on my back?" she asked her friend. Vicky was looking down the front of her own messy pants. The front hem of Vicky's nightly was a messy brown. "About halfway," she said. "I had the strangest dream last night," Vicky commented. "Was it about some hag making a soup out of the bones we had found?" Cindy commented. "Yeah, how did you know?" "I had the same dream, and I think it really scared the shit out of us," Cindy laughed. Both girls looked at each other and again had a good laugh. Vicky commented, "Let's take a bath, we both seem to really need one." The two got up and got out clean diapers, plastic pants, clothes, and bedding and went into the bathtub first just to rinse off. After that they added bubble bath and enjoyed a bubble bath for two. Both girls helped the other clean and enjoyed tickling each other and blowing bubbles in the other's face. They got changed and headed to the diner where they were meeting their parents. "Hi Mom, hi Dad," Cindy said as she entered the restaurant, taking a seat beside Vicky in a booth. Shortly Vicky's father walked in, sat across from them. "Hi Dad," Vicky said, avoiding direct eye contact with her father. Soon both parents came over. "Vicky and Cindy," Vicky's father spoke, "you scared all of us." Cindy's parents nodded in agreement, but since you were alone in a strange place, Cindy's mom broke in, "We are all willing to let it go. Now what do you kid want for breakfast?" "Blueberry pancakes," Vicky and Cindy both said in unison. "Then blueberry pancakes it is," Cindy's father commented and walked back into the kitchen. "Did you find anything new after everyone left?" Vicky's father asked. "No, nothing," Vicky said, sipping some hot chocolate her father had ordered for the two girls. "Did you take care of the kitten?" "Yes, he was fed by me," Cindy said. "And I started the wash," Vicky commented. "So what do you two have planned for today?" "Well, we thought we would like to go to the library to do a little research on the house. It's really a strange place and we both would like to know some of the background behind it," Vicky finished. Cindy then spoke up, "We would also like to verify the map we found." "Yeah Dad, it's really weird." Vicky pulled the case out of her jacket. Opening it up on the table, Edna came over to look at it. Edna said, "I don't know where it came from, but I've never seen the floor plan look like that." Cindy Dad was bringing out the girls' pancakes when he saw the map. "Is that a map of the house?" "Looking closer, looks more like a map of just the basement, but I've never seen those other areas." "Cindy," his mother said, "why don't you take it over to Grandma's antique shop, maybe she can help." "Is it okay if I take your daughter to the library?" Bill asked Dave. "Go for it, I'll have Edna pick them up at lunchtime." At the library the two girls walked over to the section marked local history. Slowly they were looking through the books, when they heard a voice from behind. They turned around suddenly to see an elderly woman. "I see you girls are looking for something, do you girls need any help?" Cindy spoke, "We're looking for information on the house out on which island." "Yeah," Vicky said nervously, "you see my father just bought it and we're wondering about its history. Those records are on microfilm, I'll help you." "If it's not too much trouble," Vicky commented. "It's no trouble at all, as you can see the library is not that busy during the day. I am Mrs. Andrews, the head librarian. All the microfilms you need are in this bottom drawer. If you need I'll be at the desk." The two girls started looking, the recent records were strange. They found a newspaper column that spoke of a suicide that occurred the month before Cindy's grandmother moved out of the house. "Daniel Angus Macbeth must have been an uncle," Cindy said, "but I wonder why no one in the family ever mentioned him." "I may have found a reason," Vicky said. "In this newspaper it talks about the Mad Macbeth, used to stalk the night and digging up graves. It gives no mention to what he did with the bodies. And look, another paper mentioned Commodore Macbeth's second son committed to Portland Asylum. It says that after the family forced him out of the house, the police found him stalking through the woods asking for the avatar. If they did not give answer, they say he killed and ate them. Next mention of the him is here in 1938, Mad Macbeth, found hanged. Now it makes sense, Cindy said, that's why my family left, they couldn't stand to be around a house marked with such tragedies. The girls continued looking. The only other record they could find was about a fire in 1887, destroyed much of the house, and about Robert Stuart Macbeth rebuilding it. Look, Cindy said, court records about the witch hunt. Annis MacDermott execution order for being found guilty of witchcraft and bewitching the daughters of Squire Andrew Macbeth and Pastor Julian Kennedy. Girls, Cindy's mother called, shocking the girls back to reality. Are you ready to go? They looked down at the copies that they had made, gathered them up. I think so, said Cindy. Are you ready, Vicky? Vicky? What? Oh, I was just thinking. Yeah, I'm ready. As the two walked past, Cindy's mom said, hold it. We're not going home until I change you too. So young ladies, to the girls' bathroom now. With a great deal of speed that comes from years of changing diapers, Edna had changed them both and they were again ready to go. Now Vicky, go wipe up the wet spots you left on the bench. With that they peeled into the car. So how was your morning? Find anything out about you map? Yes we did, Vicky said. Did you know that most of the house was burned down after the Civil War? We think that this map may predate the fire. Well, it's good to see you put your morning to good use, but it's a nice day, you shouldn't waste it indoors. Why don't you to go do something fun after lunch, and we'll see you at supper time. Well, we still have the other room in the house to explore, and looks like the sun's coming out so it won't be as creepy. So you're going to Vicky's, Cindy replied. Okay, but before you call the police, please call us. They walked across the metal bridge that led to the island home. Let's walk around the house, I'm just curious, said Vicky. Sure, Cindy agreed. Around the entire house there was about 50 to 100 feet of land to walk on, making it a sizable island. They noticed the remains of a staircase that might have gone down into a dock. Now the stairs were washed out. From the back of the house they could see the lighthouse and the watch station. They went inside and were greeted by Dust Bunny pouncing on their feet. I got you, Vicky said, picking up the playful kitten. He rubbed his head on her and started to purr. Setting him down, they made their way up to the third floor. As they got off the stairs they made the first turn and were now confronted by a large oak door. In the middle of the door there was a very tarnished nameplate. Both girls could not decipher the writing because of the tarnish. Vicky said, wait here, I will be right back. As Cindy waited she tried various keys, until she found what she believed was the right one. Vicky returned not a minute later with a can of Brasso and a polishing rag. Within moments it was clean. The letters read DAM. Daniel Angus Macbeth, they said in unison. Cindy looked at Vicky, both were trembling. I think I've found the key. Before she could put the key in, Vicky stopped her. I want to get something first. The two girls descended the stair to the nursery, where they had slept the night before. Vicky put on the gun belt she had found yesterday. Now let's go to the master bedroom. They now walked up the stairs, and down the hall. Vicky took the dagger out and removing the pistol from the box she placed it in the holster. Next she handed the dagger to Cindy. Vicky, why are you wearing the gun? We don't even know if it's loaded. And if it is loaded it probably won't fire. Cindy reminded her friend. Well, do you want to go up without some kind of defense? Cindy didn't answer. See, Vicky said, and they left. Slowly Cindy inserted the key and turned it. With a soft click it opened. Slowly pushing the door open, Vicky drew the pistol. Cindy stayed behind her, clutching her right arm. Cautiously they advance up the stairs, until they reaching the landing. Nothing yet, Vicky said. She felt Cindy feel her rear. Oh yeah. And you're clean and dry, Vicky teased. Okay, I get your point. On the landing there was a heavily barred door, with a small window. Vicky put the gun away. Cindy, help me get a look through the window. Cindy bent down to offer her a foot up. Cindy helped Vicky to the window. Vicky grabbed a hold of the bars and took a look inside. All she saw were some chains embedded in the wall, a cot and a desk. Cindy could no longer support Vicky, and Vicky lost her grip on the bars. The two fell into a pile, the pistol being knocked loose, striking the floor and firing. The bullet traveled through the wall across the door, blasting a hole through, before striking a pane of glass. The two girls were now quite shaken. We could have been killed, Cindy said. I know, Vicky responded, let's put that thing away. She picked up the pistol with 2 fingers. The two girls walked down the stair to the master bedroom. There they returned the pistol to its box. I think next time I want to take a weapon with adventuring, I'll take one of the swords from on the wall in the den, Vicky said as they walked back to the stairs. Well, you know one thing now, said Cindy, the gun is loaded and it does work. Oh well, thank you very much, smart ass, Vicky said. They walked over to the door. After playing with the keys, they found a way to remove the massive lock from the door. Cindy drew the dagger and handed it to Vicky. They threw the door open, kicking up a huge cloud of dust. They saw before them just what Vicky had seen: a low cot, a set of manacles embedded in the wall, and a desk. Looking through the desk turned up several books: Clavicule de Salomon, Le Dragon Rouge, and the Necronomicon, several documents mentioning the name Meltroth. I wonder what this really means, Cindy asked Vicky. I have no idea. I can't read the languages that many of these books are written. I think it's French or Latin, Vicky commented, confused. Cindy studied the room before she said, what's this, pulling a book out from under the cot's mattress. Looks like a diary. I wonder if the keys would open it. Try them, Vicky said, tossing her the 2 sets of keys. Opening the book displayed a very detailed family tree of Cindy's ancestors. After that, very little made sense, though there were several references to the Avatar. I wonder what this all means, asked Cindy. I have no idea, commented Vicky. We could ask your grandmother. True, I don't think she would know. She was far too young to remember that troubled time with my great-uncle. Cindy continued. I suppose you're right, but it never hurts to ask, Vicky concluded. As the two walked out of the tower, they noticed light streaming through the hole that had been shot through the wall. Cindy bent down and took a look. Hey, there's another room there. These boards aren't that strong, let's try to break through. I have a better idea. Vicky returned to the main floor and grabbed her father's bowling ball. Carrying it up the stair, she turned around and flung it at the hole in the wall. The wall went crash as the bowling ball pierced it, taking with it any other objects that boarded up this door. I hope your dad doesn't get mad at what you did with his bowling ball, Cindy commented. I don't think he would. He hasn't bowled in over 4 years. It took no time to remove the rest of the wood from the door. They soon found themselves inside a room containing all sorts of junk. In one corner was a cranked record player, another steamer trunk, several weapons, including 1.38 caliber double-action army pistol, and 3 short swords. Vicky picked up the gun and placed it into the holster. A perfect fit, the strap closes and everything, but no ammo. Cindy picked one of the swords. I'm Xena, barbarian princess. She took one sword and Vicky took one as well. I wonder what's in the trunk, Cindy asked. They slowly opened the trunk. Within it were a large assortment of antique medical devices and several tin prints of various family members. Cindy looked through the trunk. Vicky looked out the window with now one pane of glass now shattered. Will you look at that? She pointed down at the water. It looked like the remains of a boat. We could go check it out tomorrow, if it's okay with my dad, Vicky commented. Why don't we ask, replied Cindy. Where do you want to look now? I don't think we can go any higher, commented Vicky. We could put the rest of my stuff into the nursery, then we can look down below again. In about 20 minutes they were able to haul the last 3 boxes containing Vicky's items. The boxes contained her stereo, posters, jewelry box, clothes, stuffed animals, and assorted items, valuable only to a teenager. Now what are we going to do? Cindy asked. There are still all those boxes in the basement. Why don't we bring a few of them up to the ballroom where we could see them? Cindy said. That sounds good, but let's change and eat first, Vicky said. After going to the nursery and taking turn on the changing table, the two made their way to the basement. Before they could leave the ballroom, there was a knock at the door. A man cautiously made his way to the door. I'm here to connect the satellite TV. I came earlier and someone shot at me. Sorry, but I dropped a gun upstairs. If I had known that someone was outside, I would not have messed with it. Vicky blushed. Okay, if you don't mind, I will install this. You girls can go play. And later you can watch some TV. Cindy was just going to say something about his comments, when Vicky grabbed her arm, leading her away. He's no loss, probably married, she said to Vicky as the two headed down to the basement. Walking through the dining room past the kitchen, they headed to the basement. Each picking a box that carried them upstairs to the ballroom. Sitting down close to the fireplace, they started to unpack them. Vicky first used a towel to remove some of the dust from her box, while Cindy just threw hers open. As the dust settled, they got their first chance to look into a box that hadn't been open in over 70 years. What they found was unidentifiable to them. They reached in and took it out. Whatever they were looking at had degraded greatly in age. I'm open for questions, said Cindy. It looks like some strange Halloween mask, commented Vicky. Open yours, Cindy said to Vicky. Vicky opened the box she had selected. What they beheld was beautiful. Inside were 3 hats decorated with the most brilliant bird feathers. Now these are pretty, said Vicky. Cindy said, why is it you get the pretty stuff while I get the weird? I don't know, just lucky I guess. Hey, look what else I've found, cried Cindy. It looks like climbing tackle. I know the belts are badly decayed, but I'm sure Buzz at the hardware store could replace them. Yeah, if we get some ropes we could scale down to the old boat landing, Vicky agreed. I'll set them aside for future use, Cindy said. Let's go get another box, Vicky said, but bigger. There are several trunks I know it would take the two of us to haul upstairs, let's get one them. Slowly, arduously they hauled a trunk up the stairs. By the time they got it up, the satellite guy met them. Okay ladies, you're hooked up, enjoy. With that he left. The two girls dragged the trunk into the ballroom. After fidgeting with the lock, it opened and fell to the ground. Slowly they opened the top, and were assaulted by the stench of mothballs. Lifting off what looked like a blanket, turned out to be a wool cloak, they continued to explore the contents. This trunk was obviously that of a wealth man. They found wool coats, silk shirts, a mohair smoking jacket, along with several naval uniforms inscribed with the rank Commodore, and finally a picture. Cindy looked at it and said, I know who that is, follow me. She ran to the den, and pointed to the picture above the mantel. That's my great-great-grandfather, Charles William Stuart Macbeth. He was a Commodore in the Spanish-American War, and later in WWI. The picture shows him with a sword. Where is that? Vicky asked. Buried with him, or so I've been told, said Cindy. Cindy, are you hungry? Asked Vicky, her tummy rumbling. Yeah, why? Let's order pizza and continue with this adventure after we eat. Well then, let's do it. Cindy handed her the phone. The two young ladies ordered pizza. Cindy's father delivered it. Well, how are you girls doing with your unpacking? He asked. Vicky replied, my room and things are already set up. My father will unpack his things when he's back. We did set up the kitchen, so we can at least have something to eat. Looking over the mess on the floor of the ballroom, Cindy's father asked, where did all this stuff come from? The basement, the two replied. Well, as long as you two stay out of trouble and don't call the police in hysteria, you can stay here. Cindy, I bought some more of you stuff for you to stay the night. Thanks, Dad, she replied. Vicky paid for the pizza out of the money her dad left her, and Cindy's father went back to his restaurant. As the girls continued to look through boxes, Dust Bunny joined them. The kitten was having loads of fun pouncing on the items from the boxes and jumping in the boxes themselves. As the night continues, the girls decided to change. Then they would go through only one more box as they were both rather sleepy from the night before. The two went downstairs and grabbed a box marked nursery. After the two got it upstairs and cleaned some of the dust off, they opened it. Within the box they found diapers, crib sheets, baby clothes, some that would ever fit them, glass nursing bottles, and many dry rotted pairs of rubber pants. Vicky said, "Well, looks like we have more for our nursery." "Yeah," Cindy agreed. The two girls then started choosing what items they wanted. Each chose a frilly baby dress, a couple of wraparound t-shirts, with the old-fashioned ties, a few silk diaper covers, without rubber pants built in, a bonnet, and bib. "Once these things are washed, we'll really be set." "Let's look some more," Cindy urged. The two girls removed a cardboard divider. What they saw confused them. All the clothes and baby items under the divider we coated with a rust-colored substance. Under them there was a baby album covered with the same substance. Examining the items more closely, Vicky said, "It looks like some kind of paint was splashed on it." Cindy commented, "Or poop," she said, pointing at Vicky's legs. "I suppose you're trying to tell me something." "Vicky, you're leaking out of your plastic pants." Vicky looked down and noticed that she had filled her diapers with a huge load of diarrhea. "Did I get it anywhere?" she asked Cindy. "No, just the little bit at the leg elastic, and inside the pants." "Well, let's go change and get to bed. We can put the items we want in the laundry room overnight." With that, the two girls went to the nursery. It took both Cindy and Vicky to get Vicky cleaned up. Cindy was messy, but nowhere near as bad as Vicky. Each crawled into their cribs. Dust Bunny curled up with Vicky. They said their goodnights. Dream came, but not pleasant ones. Cindy saw herself chained to a wall along with Vicky. They watched the hag from the night before, mixing things before them. Soon they heard a door open. A man with wild unkempt hair had entered carrying a small child in his arms. He walked over to the hag and whispered something to her neither of the girls could understand. She placed the crying infant on a chopping block, picked up a cleaver. Before the cleaver stuck, both girls were awake and screaming. Cindy jumped over to Vicky's crib, and they huddled together in fear. They spent the rest of the night holding each other, crying themselves back to sleep. The 14th of September 1999. Commander Henderson entered his new home, after 2 days of reorganizing the USCG watch station. He expected to find his daughter and her friend awake and exploring, but now he heard nothing. "Vicky," he cried out. "Cindy, where are you two?" He looked in the den. The TV was off, but set up. Next he looked in the kitchen, and found no one. He left there and climbed the stairs to the second floor. As he neared the nursery, the smell of heavily laden diapers struck him. What were they eating? He said to himself. Pushing the door open, he found the two girls huddled together asleep. Both they needed a bath, badly. The bed, the bedding, the girls' nighties, diapers and anything else was covered in their mess. He put his hand on Vicky. She awoke with a scream, awakening her bed companion Cindy. "It's okay, it's just me." Vicky looked at her dad as if he was a stranger. "Vicky, are you okay?" "No, yes, I don't know." "Well, could you pick one?" her dad responded. "You two go and take a bath, I'll put the sheets in the laundry. See you at breakfast." With that he left. The two girls got out of bed. Vicky's father took the sheet and headed downstairs. Vicky and Cindy looked at each other. "Maybe a bubble bath will make us feel better," Cindy suggested. "It will take more than that to clean us up," Vicky replied. They were soiled from their stomachs to their knees, the two messes mixed together to make it look worse. The two girls slowly walked into the bathroom, each taking turns stood in the tub and removed their messy clothes and then diapers. After a final rinse, they poured a nice hot bath for themselves. Vicky was adding a generous portion of Mr. Bubble. As they spent time in the bath, the two of them discussed what they had dreamed. "One more experience like that and I'm leaving this place," Vicky commented. "I know, but what's causing these nightmares?" Cindy questioned. "Whatever it is, it's sure scaring the shit out for us, in a literal sense." The two girls laughed. Joking made them feel a little better, but they had no idea what might lay in store for them tonight. Cindy asked, "Do you think your father would allow you to stay at my place?" "We won't know unless we ask," Vicky said. The girls were soon climbing down the stair where they picked up Dust Bunny. "You have been two very messy girls these last 2 nights. Do you have the flu or something like that?" "No, we've just been having strange nightmares, and I think it's giving me the runs," Vicky said. "Dad," Vicky asked if I could stay at Cindy's tonight. "If it's okay with her parents, you can. I am again working night watch and I'll pick you up on my way home." "Thanks, Dad, we'll ask this morning and call you," Vicky said. "Okay, I'll be putting the rest of the house together, but I will keep the cordless phone nearby." "Oh, before you young ladies do anything this morning, sort out that junk in the main hall into what you want to keep and toss, or I'll do it for you." The two wanted and kept the nursery box, the steamer chest, and climbing tackle. The rest they left for Vicky's dad to look at. They then made their way to the hardware store. "Uncle Buzz," Cindy cried over the warning bell when they entered. "Well, if it isn't Cindy and a friend. What can I do for you two ladies today?" Placing the tack on the counter, Cindy asked, "Can you fix these so we can use them to explore around Witch Island?" "I suppose so, but what area are you exploring?" "Down by the old boat landing." "Well, Cindy, does your friend know how to rappel?" Vicky Henderson entered his new home after 2 days of reorganizing the USCG watch station. He expected to find his daughter and her friend awake and exploring, but now he heard nothing. "Vicky," he cried out. "Cindy, where are you two?" He looked in the den. The TV was off, but set up. Next he looked in the kitchen, and found no one. He left there and climbed the stairs to the second floor. As he neared the nursery, the smell of heavily laden diapers struck him. What were they eating? He said to himself. Pushing the door open, he found the two girls huddled together asleep. Both they needed a bath, badly. The bed, the bedding, the girls' nighties, diapers and anything else was covered in their mess. He put his hand on Vicky. She awoke with a scream, awakening her bed companion Cindy. "It's okay, it's just me." Vicky looked at her dad as if he was a stranger. "Vicky, are you okay?" "No, yes, I don't know." "Well, could you pick one?" her dad responded. "You two go and take a bath, I'll put the sheets in the laundry. See you at breakfast." With that he left. The two girls got out of bed. Vicky's father took the sheet and headed downstairs. Vicky and Cindy looked at each other. "Maybe a bubble bath will make up feel better," Cindy suggested. "It will take more than that to clean us up," Vicky replied. They were soiled from their stomachs to their knees, the two messes mixed together to make it look worse. The two girls slowly walked into the bathroom, each taking turns stood in the tub and removed their messy clothes and then diapers. After a final rinse, they poured a nice hot bath for themselves. Vicky was adding a generous portion of Mr. Bubble. As they spent time in the bath, the two of them discussed what they had dreamed. "One more experience like that and I'm leaving this place," Vicky commented. "I know, but what's causing these nightmares?" Cindy questioned. "Whatever it is, it's sure scaring the shit out for us, in a literal sense." The two girls laughed. Joking made them feel a little better, but they had no idea what might lay in store for them tonight. Cindy asked, "Do you think your father would allow you to stay at my place?" "We won't know unless we ask," Vicky said. The girls were soon climbing down the stair where they picked up Dust Bunny. "You have been two very messy girls these last 2 nights. Do you have the flu or something like that?" "No, we've just been having strange nightmares, and I think it's giving me the runs," Vicky said. "Dad," Vicky asked if I could stay at Cindy's tonight. If it's okay with her parents you can. I am again working night watch and I'll pick you up on my way home. Thanks Dad, we'll ask this morning and call you, Vicky said. Okay, I'll be putting the rest of the house together, but I will keep the cordless phone nearby. Oh, before you young ladies do anything this morning, sort out that junk in the main hall into what you want to keep, and toss, or I'll do it for you. The two wanted and kept the nursery box, the steamer chest, and climbing tackle, the rest they left for Vicky's dad to look at. They then made their way to the hardware store. Uncle Buzz, Cindy cried over the warning bell when they entered. Well, if it isn't Cindy, and a friend. What can I do for you two ladies today? Placing the tack on the counter, Cindy asked, can you fix these so we can use them to explore around Witch Island? I suppose so, but what area are you exploring? Down by the old boat landing. Well, Cindy, does your friend know how to rappel? Vicky broke in, since I was 12. Okay, Buzz responded, I'll have them ready by noon, along with some rope. Thanks Buzz, Cindy told her uncle. Buzz is you uncle? Vicky asked. Yeah, he's my brother, Cindy replied. So where do we go now? Well, let's talk to my dad, Cindy replied. Entering the dinner, Cindy's mom said, well, howdy strangers, where have you two been? Just talking to Uncle Buzz, Cindy replied. Mom, can Vicky stay the night with us tonight? I don't see why not, but let me ask your father. Dave, her mom shouted. Her husband appeared from the kitchen. What? You don't have to shout. Can Vicky stay over tonight? Yeah, sure, whatever. Excellent, said Cindy, thanks Mom, Dad. Heading back out, Cindy got a sliver in her hand by running it along the wood railing. Cindy's pulled her hand back and muttered, ouch. Let me see it, said Vicky. Cindy showed Vicky the sliver. Oh, I can get that out. With that, Vicky pulled out a tweezers and pulled out the sliver. They had walked along for about 5 minutes until Cindy thought she felt something wet on her hand. I'm bleeding, Cindy said. I have a band-aid, responded Vicky. Cindy said, Nurse Vicky to the rescue. Looking at the wound and looking at how the blood was smeared on Cindy's jeans, Vicky had a revelation. It's blood, Vicky said and started walking faster. What's blood? Cindy inquired. On the baby things at the bottom of the box. Are you sure? Vicky said, as sure as we had found a skeleton in the first trunk. Quickly, the two girls ran back to Vicky's house. They plowed through the door, almost knocking over Vicky's dad. Why the hurry? Her dad asked. Dumping the box, Vicky found the items. Dad, how can we tell if this is blood? Vicky shouted in excitement. I don't know, let me make a call to the sheriff and I'll find out. Picking up the phone he dialed, then spoke, Sheriff Davis please, this is Commander Henderson, USCG. Chuck, it's Will. If someone found marks on old material that they believe to be blood, what would be an easy test? Okay, thanks Chuck. Vicky's father turned to the girls. Bleach. Common household bleach, should turn it red, for a quick field test. Vicky dad told her. Vicky picked up the soiled clothes and album, and ran to the laundry room. Cindy and her dad followed. Vicky laid the garments down, sticking a corner of a diaper in the bleach. She applied a drop to the garment. It turned red. It's blood, she wiped further, it's all blood. That wasn't dream, it was a vision of what happened over 70 years ago. Cindy's face went white as she listened to her friend's conclusion. Okay girls, it's time to tell me what's going on. The last 2 nights after exploring the house, the two of us have had the same dream. Cindy broke in, they were not dreams, they were nightmares. Vicky continued, each one has been more disturbing than the first. And in each, when we compare dreams in the morning, they have the same disturbing images. The common points are a grizzled old hag, a disheveled many with wispy grey hair, a pot in which they are preparing a cannibalistic feast. Okay girls, I understand that these dreams seem real, but they are not. It looks to me that two little girls have spent far too much time wandering around a creepy old house. Now go explore someplace else, while I put the rest of the household things away. That didn't go well, Cindy said. It could have been worse. Do you think your parent would believe us? Vicky asked. Probably not, they only take my brother seriously, and that's only when he's on leave, Cindy stated. You didn't tell me you had a brother. I'm sorry. He's never around much, Cindy replied. Corey joined the Navy at the age of 18. He then went to submariners school and is at sea. It will be another year before he will return. That's gotta suck. I don't have any other family, Vicky added. It's about noon. You wanna go see if your Uncle Buzz has finished with the climbing gear? Vicky asked. Why not, said Cindy. With that, they both walked back into town and headed for the hardware store. Hi Buzz, the two girls said. Oh children, I'm glad you're here. I just finished with them and I was going to call to find out where you two had wandered off to. Here you go, no charge, to my favorite niece. Buzz, I'm your only niece, Cindy replied. That's why you're my favorite. The two girls headed back to the island house and walked over where the stairs used to be. Setting down their equipment, Vicky asked, do you want anything before we do this? A change perhaps, some adventuring tools, and a backpack of supplies just in case. Okay, I am more than a little squishy. With that, the two girls headed back to the nursery. Cindy got on the table first. Vicky stood over her friend. A disposable diaper would be the preferred for this trip. Vicky quickly changed her friend's diapers, then Cindy did hers. Taking Vicky's backpack, they filled it with diapers, the gun belt, map, dagger, and each took their short swords they had found the day before. Vicky cried out before they left, "Bye Dad, we're going out to explore." They heard a muffled, "Okay," from the den. Vicky found two large iron fitting driven into the ground near the shattered stairs. Vicky tied the main descent rope to the fittings. Cindy lowered the ascent rope and tied into the descent rope. The old climbing tackle is quite well designed, but I took the liberty of grabbing a pair of ascenders for each of use from home. Don't worry, my dad won't miss them. Slowly and tediously they made their way down the slope, stopping to avoid other iron fitting and remains of the stairs. About a half hour later they reached the boat landing. The landing itself was nothing more than a large concrete slab, one side of it attached to the island, the other to the sea. As they looked it over, Vicky discovered a small hole in the cliffside with a metal piece in the center. "Is that a keyhole?" she asked Cindy. Cindy shined her flashlight into the hole and said, "Sure as shit it is." Vicky pulled open the back of Cindy's pants, looked down saying, "Yeah, they're shitty, for sure." Vicky removed her climbing equipment and took out the 2 key rings. There was only one key that could fit. The key slid into the hole, but it took both of them to turn it. Soon they heard a low rumbling and the sound of a pulley lowering a weight. The rock wall right in front of them soon slid open. The two stared at it in amazement. Pensively they shined their flashlight through the doorway. Before them stood a dark, damp corridor, reeking with the stench of mold and mildew. They stepped through the doorway and advanced. A curving passageway confronted them. Then it suddenly came to a wall. The two girls fumbled in the darkness, groping along the wall, when it suddenly moved, dumping both them into a dark, dusty room. Many tracks littered the floor, telling them that they were not the first to find this place. "Who the hell are you?" they heard a voice from a dark side passage. An unkempt old hermit stalked forward, with an axe in one hand. "Tell me, damn it." Vicky reached into the holster and drew the pistol on the advancing man. He stopped. "Put down the axe and your hands on your head or I'll fire." The man quickly complied. Feeling not as threatened, she asked, "Who are you and what are you doing under my house?" "I'm Lazarus Cuddy and I was here first," the old hermit said. "How did you find this place?" she asked. "Well, I lived in the main house for a spell, but people kept coming by. One day I was searching by the kitchen fireplace and I dropped into this room." Cindy looked around the room. Vicky, the trunk. Over in the corner they saw the trunk that they had found their first night. How did you get that? I took it from the main bedroom. The bones are that of my brother, Richard. He was buried on Williams Bluff and I removed them before the bluff and cemetery fell into the sea. How did you retrieve them? They're a ladder that travels along the back of the master bedroom's fireplace. That also how I had been leaving to fish and gather food, but now you're probably gonna have the police arrest me. Lazarus, come with me and we'll see if my dad will let you stay. Cindy went up the fireplace first, followed Lazarus and then Vicky. When all three of them climbed out the fireplace it was a bit of a start for Vicky's father. Dad, we found this man living under the house. Vicky exclaimed. He's the one who took the trunk of bones. Who is this man? Why does he live under our house? And what chest of bones? He picked up the phone and called the sheriff. Chuck, you will not believe this, but the girls have found a vagrant living under our house. Yeah, we'll talk then. The sheriff is coming out. Hopefully he can help settle this mess. Until then, everyone have a seat. Victoria Elizabeth Henderson, where did you get that gun? I found it, Dad. Vicky exclaimed. Well, give it to me now. Vicky handed her father the .38 she had found. About 5 minutes later a black Crown Victoria rolled into the driveway. Out came a stocky-built gentleman. He walked in through the kitchen door and said, "Okay, Bill, what's going on?" The girls found this man living under the house, Vicky's father told the sheriff. Yeah, in the secret passages, Cindy added. The sheriff turned to the man. Do you have any identification? The scruffy man reached into his pocket and gave the sheriff a beaten and battered USN, retired, ID card. Lazarus Cuddy, rank CPO 6th class. Okay, Chief, the sheriff said, let's run the card and see what comes up. A few minutes later he said, no warrants, no arrests. He was reported missing about 5 years ago, when he trying to save the graves at William S. Bay Cemetery. Okay, I'll take care of this. Vicky's father stood up and turned to the Lazarus. Lazarus, what is your MOS? Commander Henderson asked. I was a cook. How you'd like to be a cook again, for the watch station? I'd make sure you had a place to stay, and arrange civilian pay. We're a small group of just 24, does this sound good? Best offer I've ever heard, Lazarus smiled. Oh, by the way, when was the last time you were paid your pension? Almost 6 years now. Well, Lazarus, the government owes you a shitload of back pay, Vicky's father concluded. If you would like you could stay here in the house tonight, or at the Coast Guard station. Lazarus thought for a second. Take me to the station, my new home. Oh, let's get rid of the bones, or at least take them to a place where nothing will damage them. Good idea, sir, Lazarus remarked. Thanks again for coming out, Chuck, Vicky's dad said to the sheriff. Now can I leave you two here without any further problems? He looked back at the two girls. Yes, Dad, was their response. After her dad left and when he left she again found the old Army .38 she had found in the upstairs. Opening it up she spun the cylinder, emptiest gun in the West. The two girls laughed. Vicky replaced it in the holster. She next grabbed several candles and a few books for matches. Together they went down the passage that led to the secret basement. When they got there they lit a few of the candles. Then they noticed that there were more passages and doors in and out of this place. Walking over to one of the doors, they could tell hadn't been used in years. They examined it. Clearing away spider webs and assorted dirt they found a badly corroded lock. Vicky removed the 2 key rings and started trying keys. While she was trying to open the lock Cindy tapped her on the shoulder. Vicky, she said. Vicky kept working. Vicky, she said louder. With that Vicky turned taking the door's locking mechanism out of the rotted wood. Cindy smiled, I was trying to tell you that. Don't I feel like an idiot, Vicky said. When the two girls pushed on the door they fell through the rotted wood. Taking their flashlight out, they surveyed the room. It was roughly circular, with a domed ceiling. In the middle of the room sat a rusted cauldron, upon the ashes of some ancient long-dead fire. The two peer around in fear and disbelief. They saw the chopping block, the manacles, and a table of dried herds, now mold and rotting. Slowly they approached the cauldron. Looking inside, they saw tiny bones, all appeared human. This was the baby that was killed. They quickly backpedaled, both tripping over their feet on the uneven floor. Struggling to get up, they saw two skeletons locked into manacles upon the wall. "We found the spot," Vicky hissed. "The vision." "Let's go," Cindy said. "I already did," Vicky replied, "and it's running down my legs." Cindy got up and ran. Vicky was close behind her. Quickly they climbed the stairs through the kitchen's fireplace. They didn't stop until they made it to the ballroom. Vicky's father was returning home as he found the two running, terrified. "What wrong?" "Whoa, I can see and smell what's wrong." "No, Dad, we found more bodies, the cauldron, and the witch's lab." "Come, we'll show you." Taking her father's hand, they lead him to the room they had just seen. "Well, ladies, if you wouldn't have showed me, I probably wouldn't believe you." Using his cell phone, he again called the sheriff. The sheriff arrived with two deputies, the coroner, and a hearse. People started gathering around as the body parts were carried out under sheets. The coroner and a psychologist came and talked to the girls. The coroner spoke, "We are both sorry you had to see this, but these people died most likely over 70 years ago. You had nothing to do with it. If you need to talk, here is my number." "I am Debbie," said the psychologist. "I think right now you should change." "We can talk later," said Vicky's father. The two girls went upstairs to the nursery, like two zombies. Changing was a relief, but only a short one. Cindy helped Vicky get her things ready for sleeping at her house. Vicky packed within her stuff 2 baby bottles for the both of them. "I hope your parents don't mind. I find that having a bottle after a long day is very relaxing," she said to Cindy. "I don't know what they will say, but I like to try one too," Cindy remarked. Vicky's father drove Vicky and Cindy to Cindy's parents. Vicky and Cindy took out their backpacks, headed up the walkway to Cindy's house, a 2-story colonial. Opening the door, Cindy announced, "We're home." No answer. Cindy with Vicky walked into the kitchen. On the table was a note, "Food is in the refrigerator, your videotapes are where you left them in the family room. The diner has been really busy, we will be back by midnight." Cindy looked at the microwave, 7:30. "Well, we have about 5 hours to do whatever we want, but first I will show you my room." The two girls hurried up the back stairway. The hallway leading to Cindy's room was painted light blue with white clouds. In her room there was no crib, but she did have Winnie the Pooh and Friend on the wall. She had a queen-size bed, a changing area, consisting of a mat on the floor covered with a flannelized plastic sheet of white material with little pink bunnies, a diaper pail, wipes and Desitin. "I'm not used to having people over to sleep with me, but I see no harm in the two of us sharing a bed, do you?" Vicky smiled and jumped on the bed and said, "No." Cindy joined her and the two were soon involved in a pillow fight. After about 30 minutes they heard a cry from the first floor. "Cindy, Vicky, where are you two?" her mother asked. "Upstairs in my room," Cindy replied. "Have you two eaten?" she asked. "No, Mom," Cindy shouted. "Well, change your diapers and come down and eat." "How did she guess we need changing?" Cindy giggled. Vicky was changed first, next came Cindy. The two girls then decided to put on an oversized t-shirt, instead of normal clothes. Shortly they came wandering down the stairs. "I brought spaghetti from the restaurant, I hope you like it, Vicky, it's one of Cindy's favorites. Parmesan cheese is in the door of the fridge." Vicky and Cindy sat down and start to eat. The food was excellent. "So what do my girls have in mind for this evening?" Cindy's mom asked. "I don't know, we've made no plans so far." Maybe just watch a couple of videos, Cindy commented. Well, don't stay up too late, or make too much noise, as your father and I need to get up early for the breakfast crowd. Okay, Mom, Cindy said. After they finished, the two girls adjourned to the family room. So what are you in the mood to watch? I have a big selection, from dramas, comedy, action, even some cartoons. Looking over the collection, the two decided on conspiracy theory. About halfway through, Cindy leaned over saying, "After my parents go to sleep, my dad has a large selection of adult movies I'm not supposed to know about." During the chase scene on the Brooklyn Bridge, they paused the tape and wandered into the kitchen to get something to drink. Before they went back to the video, Vicky said, "Wait here." Running up the stairs, she soon returned back down carrying two baby bottles with toddler-sized nuck nipples. The bottles were decorated with Looney Tunes lovables. Vicky took Sylvester, Cindy took Bugs Bunny. Filling them with chocolate milk from the fridge, they returned to watching their movie. Cindy's father came home right before the movie ended. Peeking into the room, he saw his daughter and her friend lounging on the couch, drinking out of baby bottles. This made him take a double take. He walked into the living room where his wife was figuring the books for the day. Going to the closet, he grabbed his camera. Suspicious of what her husband was doing, she followed him back to the family room. The camera's flash made the two look up, neither dropped their bottles. "Dear, why don't you just leave the girls alone? I'm sorry, they look so cute just sitting there drinking their bottles like babies, the rumba panties peeking out from under their shirt. I had to take a picture. I hope you girls don't mind. If you do, I will remove the picture. This is a digital camera, you know." "No, Dad, I don't mind," replied Cindy. "How about you?" she asked Vicky. "No, I don't mind. Can I get a copy?" "Sure you can, Vicky, sure." The two then started debating what they wanted to see next. "Since we're both dressed like babies," Cindy said, "how about something Disney?" "That sound good. Do you have Beauty and the Beast?" Vicky inquired. "Sure, but first I need a refill," Cindy said, pointing to her empty bottle. "I need a refill as well, but I also need a diaper change," Vicky concluded. The two girls headed upstairs. As they did, they heard Cindy's father shout, "Good night, girls, we'll see you in the morning." "Good night, Mom and Dad," Cindy shouted back. After a quick change, they headed back to the family room to continue watching movie and acting like preschoolers. They watched Beauty and the Beast, then out of curiosity they watched one of Cindy's father's adult movies. They weren't too excited about it. Vicky asked Cindy if she had ever had a boyfriend. "No," was Cindy's reply. "Once they smell my dirty diapers, most boys want nothing to do with me." "I've never had one either, and I wonder if I'll ever find someone," Vicky replied. Feeling tired, they headed up to Cindy's room to go to bed. After a final change, they climbed into bed. Cindy fell asleep first, but when Vicky noticed that she had something in her mouth, she looked closer and realized that Cindy was sucking on a pacifier. Vicky put her thumb in her mouth, where it's been pretty much most of her life. With that, they went to sleep, but what followed them to this house was what drove them out of the other. The 15th of September 1999. Vicky saw a man dressed in motley rages, walking toward the local cemetery, with a bag over his shoulder. He stopped at a mausoleum, and pushed it open, and closed it behind him. There he started dismembering the corpse, placing the heart and head back into the sack. He then opened up a small hole and out poured a horde of rats, which devoured the corpse, leaving only the larger bones. The man left the mausoleum clutching the bag to his chest, as if it were his life savings. He walked farther back into the woods that surrounded this quiet town of Burnt Cove. He came to a dense grove of trees. He pushed his way through the thorns and vines, tore the rages he wore even more. There stood a dark figure, dressed in a 17th century garb torn to shreds, its head covered by a cowl. The figure motioned to the madman to place the body parts on a low stone altar. The figure threw back the cowl to reveal the face of the hag from the earlier dream. The two embraced, and from the two embraced figures sprang a hideous beast. Its face was covered in matted black hair. It looked like that of a dog but with longer fangs and horn projecting from its head. It slashed the couple with razor-like claws from its twisted, deformed hands. It drank the vile ichor that oozed from the wounds. Satisfied, it jumped upon the altar and swallowed the head and heart. The embraced couple then let go and the beast burned upon their foreheads its mark. It reminded Vicky of the crystal they had found. Now destroy the young, before the avatar arrives. The two startled awake. Vicky and Cindy clung to each other in terror. Cindy's mom was about to leave for the morning at the restaurant, where she heard the screams. She raced up the stair to see what was wrong. "Okay girls, it all right," she hugged the girls. "Just relax and tell mom what's wrong. It are coming to destroy us," the two stammered. "What is coming to destroy you?" "The witch, great-great-uncle Daniel, and the demon," Cindy quickly stated. "No, they're not, dear, it was just a dream, you're safe. None of them are even alive, and they haven't been for ages. But they are Mrs. Macbeth, they are trying to and will kill us in our dreams, unless we find the avatar. You two are both talking nonsense, how can Cologne help you? Now you two get up, clean up, change the bed you soaked, and we can talk about this at the restaurant later." Okay, the two said. They got up and dressed, and while they were changing the bed, Vicky commented to Cindy, "I didn't know you used a pacifier. If I did, I would have told you to bring it to my house as well." "Well, I don't use it all the time, just when I can't sleep," Cindy replied. With that, the two walked down to the dinner. Cindy's mom met them at the door. "Vicky's your father is waiting for you at a table." "Well, I must say you two look better than I left you. Are you two okay?" "Mom, we're okay, we've just been having bad dreams," Cindy remarked. Vicky added, "Yeah, real bad." "Hi girls," Vicky's dad motioned for them to sit. "Did you have a good time last night?" "Great until we went to sleep," Vicky said. "Now what does that mean?" her father asked. Edna came over to the table and said that the girls had some kind of nightmare last night. The two woke up screaming, then babbled about someone being after them, and they need to find some avatar. Cindy's dad walked out when he heard about the avatar being mentioned. "Who told you two out about the avatar?" Cindy's father asked the two girls. "Did Grandma tell you two that old story?" "No, Dad, we heard the name in our dreams, and read it when we were looking for information at the library," Cindy told him. "I haven't anything about that for years, since I was about 5, he sat down at the table. "When I was small, my mother and her sister, your great-aunt Rebecca, used to visit a farm that belonged to the MacLeods. On that farm was a rock. Within this rock was said to live the spirit of a hag named Black Annis. If the rock was given offering of milk and whiskey, prosperity reigned. When the MacLeods and Macbeth allied, the practice was forgotten and she was said to have struck both sides with madness. No one is really sure where the legend began, but I digress. The rock was stolen by the MacDermots and taken to the New World. By chance, the Macbeth chose to settle in around the same place, that when the old witch showed herself again, she possessed Annis MacDermot and she again started afflicting the family with the madness as before. Well, our ancestor," her father continued, "Squire Matthew Macbeth was the governor and he convened the trial and convicted her of witchcraft. She was hanged and they say her body was left for the crows. Her soul, it was believed, was imprisoned in the rock. About 100 years later, your great-great-uncle Daniel Angus Macbeth was a sailor with a merchant steamliner. He had a lust for power and had learned of the black art in his travels. He came back from France, Germany, and the Far East with 3 books of magic. He used them and called some form of demon to help him bind the soul of the old witch of the stone. He went mad, killed one of his siblings, then went on a spree of death, killing several other in his search for the avatar." "But who is this avatar?" Cindy asked. "The avatar, it was said to be a man of good born upon darkness. He would be the one with the power and wisdom far beyond his age. He with 2 maids fair would vanquish the evil." "But that still tells us nothing," Cindy cried. But it does, spoke Vicky, we'll see you later. The two had finished their breakfast during the story, go up and headed out the door. Vicky led, with Cindy, trying to keep up with her. Slow down Vicky, I can't walk that fast, not after eating, Cindy chided. Vicky stopped, I'll wait for you. Where are we headed? Cindy asked, catching up to her friend. To the house and the books, the crystal, and the lockets. I remember where I saw the picture before. Once in your grandma's store, and once again at your house. Don't you see? The girls in the pictures are your great-aunt and grandmother, maybe they can tell us something. You want to take them and show them to my grandma? Cindy asked. Yes, Vicky began walking again. The two entered the house and were met by Dust Bunny, who was very happy to see them. I'll get the books, Vicky said, you get the lockets. We will meet back here. They went up the stairs, one to the attic, one to the ladies' bedroom, and then the maid's room. They met on the landing. Well, Cindy said, let's do it. Walking back into town, they quickly walked into Cindy's grandmother's shop. Grandma, we need your help with a problem, Cindy asked. What's the problem, little ones? The demon is back and we need to find the avatar, Vicky said. I feared this might happen someday. She closed up the shop, come with me children. She led them back into her home to a room in the basement. The room was full of boxed and assorted antiques, and memories. She picked up a box, in it was a painting, framed in gold. The painting showed two older boys, two younger girls and an infant being held by the two young ladies. Under, and above the portrait was the names of the children, Duncan, Daniel, Susan, Rebecca, and Andrew. Vicky and Cindy opened the lockets, the pictures were exact, and the initials in the bottom were CWSM. My grandfather painted this, Cindy's grandmother said. I was only 5, Rebecca was 4, Andrew was 10 months, she said with a tear. Grandfather tough, only one of the boys to paint, and that was Daniel. His works were all in poor taste and should have hinted us to his unsound mind. Then there was the night he killed poor Andrew. Father pleaded with the state to commit him, so they did. After they thought he was stable, they let him out, that's when the madness returned. He started using those damn books and casting spells to find the avatar and kill, so his lover, Annis McDermott, would return in the flesh. They locked him in the tower. One night he escaped and was found hanged the next morning. What they kept out of the news was the fact that he was disemboweled by some unimaginable beast. Vicky quietly whispered, Meltroth. Yes, that was the demon's name, Grandma confirmed. I was engaged to a Stephen Wallace, but he died before our first child, your father, she said looking at Cindy, was born. I know for the time I was looked on with distaste, but I never would have given up my firstborn. I gave him my last name, because I did not want to be reminded of my lover. I thought Stephen was to be the avatar, the one who would break the curse, but I was wrong. Your great-aunt Rebecca was married to a Colin MacLeod, but he never proved to be the one either. I never thought that the house would ever be used again, with the legend of the curse and all. You know the demon's name, so you are the chosen ones to find the avatar. Look to the north of town, beyond the cemetery you will find in a tangle's brambles. The stone, Cindy interrupted. Yes, grandmother confirmed. Place the crystal on the stone, it shall point the direction. Follow it, the avatar will not be far. Remember, he is the good walking in darkness, and will not know he is what he is meant to be. The two girls ran up the stairs. Cindy asked her to call her mom and tell them no, that they are adventuring in the woods. Grandma smiled and said, go children, and may God keep you safe. They went to Vicky's house and gathered their supplies, backpacks, diapers, plastic pants, wipes, the pistol, holster, and the short swords. From there they set out to find the cemetery. Cindy then remembered that there are 2 cemeteries, one by each church. Which church? Tried Annis, Vicky asked. The old Anglican church, Cindy replied. Then that's the place we should head from, Vicky said. They walked for most of the day until they came to the grove and the stone. Pushing and hacking their way through the underbrush, they entered the grove. There it stood before them, the stone. "Who wants to do it?" Vicky asked. Cindy looked at Vicky. "You can." Carefully Vicky approached the stone and set the crystals in the center of the stone. The crystals suddenly sprung to life and began to turn, until it pointed by northwest. Following the lead they walked until they came to a weather-beaten and battered house surrounded by a collapsing wooden fieldstone fence. "Is this it?" asked Cindy. "Is this where the Avatar is to be found?" "There's only one way to be sure," Vicky said, opening the gate. She slowly walked up to the door and knocked. They heard nothing. Vicky tried to peer in through one of the mudded glass windows. She saw nothing. Suddenly she heard Cindy scream behind her. There stood a man armed with a shotgun, dressed in black. His face was young but his hair was already going grey. "Why have you come here?" he demanded. We are looking for someone," Cindy stammered. Vicky reached down for the pistol. He shouted, "Don't try it, child." Vicky stopped, and then she noticed a smile cross his face and realized he was looking between her legs. Now Vicky felt the stream of wetness traveling down her leg. He lowered his gun. "Okay, little girls, open the door," and inside. The three entered. Inside they saw a couch, a table with a television, 3 modest chairs, and a small kitchen area. Once they were all inside, he turned on the lights. On the table sat 2 of the same books that were now carried in Vicky's backpack. "What do you want, a beer, wine, soda pop, juice, or what?" he asked the girls. The 2 had no idea what to say to this man. He wore black riding boots, pants, and a black Middle Ages poet-style blouse. On the wall were assortments of weapons. Behind a claymore and basket-hilt broadsword was a targa with a crest on tartan that Cindy recognized. "You're a MacLeod?" Cindy asked. "Yes, I am, Zachary Aaron Michael MacLeod, of Clan MacLeod, at your service, ladies. First let me apologize for scaring you too, but I never know who comes around anymore. The world is such a terrible place. May I ask who I serve?" "I am Victoria Elizabeth Henderson," said Vicky with a curtsy that only intensified her wet state. "Victoria, you should be wearing diapers if you're going to wet like that," he commented. "And who are you?" "I am Cynthia Marie Macbeth." He looked at her and cocked his head a bit. "Are you related to Susan Macbeth, by any chance?" "Yes, I am," she shot back. "Then we're kin. Rebecca was my grandmother," he said, giving her a big bear hug. "Woo, you need a change too. Why have you come to me?" "I am a relative to you, Cindy, but I do not know of any reason for you to seek me out." "What do you do here?" Vicky asked. "I am a historian. I focus on the darker areas or history. I try to bring them out not as legend carries them, but I look for the facts. What really happened, you could say. I have a 2 degrees, one in anthropology and the other in parapsychology. I spend much of my time researching. Before we go any further, it seemed to me that you both need to change." He picked up Vicky's backpack. Out fell several disposable diapers, wipes, and powder. "Well, I see you have things to change, but do either one of you have any clean, dry jeans?" Both girls shook their heads no. Zachary looked at them. "Okay, you 2 go change your diapers, I'll make us some refreshment, and we can talk. If you would like to call your parents and let them know you're all right, the phone is next to the computer." Cindy picked up the phone as Vicky went to change. She removed her diapers and pants. She was going to put them in the wash when she noticed something she didn't expect. Hanging in the laundry room was a wash line full of diapers and plastic pants. "Yes, they are mine," she heard and jumped with a start. "I need diapers too, but only at night. You look kind of cold in just your shirt and diapers. Wait here." He walked back to his room and gave her one of his shirt to wear as a cover-up. Cindy walked down the hall and he met her and gave her a shirt as well. "Would you care for some tea?" he asked. The 2 agreed and joined him. He went to the kitchen and made them 3 of them tea, and shortbread cookies, he met them in the living room. "So do you feel better now that you're clean and dry?" "Yes, I do," said Vicky. Cindy agreed with a nod. She then told Vicky that she called her dad and they know where they were and that it was okay with them. "I didn't think it'd be a problem," Zachary said, "even though I am referred to as a backward cousin." "Why is that?" asked Vicky. "Well, look at my house, it's small, handcrafted, wood-heated, it only has electricity in the main rooms. I do not own a car, I travel everywhere on horseback. I have 2 thoroughbreds, Apocalypse and Nightmare. The only time the family sees me is births, weddings and funerals. Enough about me, why have you come here, of all places?" "Are you the Avatar?" Cindy blurted out. Vicky looked at her friend in shock that she would be so blatant. "Am I the Avatar?" "I don't know. But I see you're heard the legend. Many have tried to find the Avatar, Stephen Wallace," he said, looking at Cindy. "He tried, the copy of the Necronomicon and Clavicule de Salomon were his. My grandmother, your great-aunt, found his mangled body. If he had not been tattooed, none would have recognized him." "What do you need to try?" Cindy asked. "This beast has been haunting both our families for over 500 years. And recently it's been haunting our dreams. The demon Melteroth is already seeking to destroy us before we reach the Avatar." Vicky reached into the separated section of her backpack. "Is this what you need?" She handed him the 3 books that had been locked in the attic. He picked up one of the books almost in disbelief. He looked it over and then opened it. "Le Dragon Rouge," he said. "I have it. Follow me, ladies." He took his 2 books and the new one given him by Vicky. They followed him through the kitchen. He opened a broom closet and removed a black cloak. Concealed within it was a staff, with silver writing embedded to the wood. Putting on the cloak and carrying the staff, he walked out to the patio. Built into the patio was a ring of stones, forming a pentacle. In the center was an altar. Placing the staff by the altar, it stood with no support. He then reached under the altar and withdrew an arthame, and embedded it into the stone. Within the circle, symbols that once stood black now glowed. From under the cloak he grabbed a sword and drove it into the ground. The 2 girls stood behind him within the circle. His lips moved in a silent incantation for the book before him. A bright flash appeared before the 3 and quickly formed into an entity, a woman dressed in white. She kissed Zachary on the forehead and touched the 2 girls and they blacked out. Vicky awoke in a king-sized bed with Cindy sleeping beside her. Slowly she got up as not to awaken her friend. In doing so, her shirt rode up and she noticed that she was not in the disposable diaper she was in before, but now she was in a cloth diaper with blue plastic pants. She walked out into the living room. There she saw Zachary sitting on the couch reading Le Dragon Rouge. Beside him was a large black cat. "You didn't have to wake up, the bad dreams won't disturb you here." She moved closer and the cat stretched out on its side to be caressed. "The cat is Agamemnon. I'm sorry I couldn't introduce you sooner, but he has free run of my land, and comes and goes as he pleases." "Hi, Agamemnon," she said as she stroked him. "What happened out there?" Vicky asked. "Who was that woman?" The woman was Mary MacLeod. She was killed by Black Annis in the 1600 before the Witch's Stone came to the New World. I first met her spirit about 18 years ago. When I spoke of her, no one in my family believed me, except for Grandma Rebecca. "So why did she kiss you and touch us?" Vicky asked. "I'm not sure," he commented. "I know why." The 2 turned to see Cindy standing by the end of the doorway. "We are the chosen ones." "Well, my cousin, you have guessed the journey's end, but what you have yet to see is the dangers we must pass." "What dangers?" Vicky asked. "Melteroth," Cindy answered. "You are very smart, my cousin, but stopping him may leave us all dead, if we succeed or fail. Death is a very real possibility. To die at the hands of Melteroth, may God have mercy on your soul. But if you wish to continue this fight, you have the map, and I have the needed equipment. We will ride at first lie." That night the girls had the first good night's sleep since this whole thing started. They showered and got cleaned up. When they entered the kitchen they found breakfast all ready for them on the table. Zachary was nowhere to be found, until they heard a loud thumping as he ran up the old wood steps from the basement. "I've already saddled the horses, so all you need to do is enjoy the ride. I'll ride lead on Apocalypse with Agamemnon, you will follow on Nightmare. When you have finished breakfast, I'll meet you at the barn." As they finished eating they saw Zachary dressed in his normal black and white, this time with a black broad-brimmed hat. He led a black horse out of the barn. Vicky went outside, the two said their good mornings. Vicky came near and he handed her the reins and told her, "Hold Apocalypse, I'll be back with Nightmare." Vicky held the reins of a large black thoroughbred stallion. Zachary emerged from the barn with a medium grey mare, her manette and tail was braided white. The two girls stood there admiring the two animals before them. "Has either one of you ever rode?" he asked. Vicky said, "I used to. When I was 14 I took a year's worth of riding lessons." "Good," he said, trading reins, "you get the front." He then helped the two young ladies onto their horse. Next he mounted Apocalypse. No sooner was he up, and Agamemnon joined him, riding on the back of his saddle. Attached to his saddle were his sword, staff from night before, and a set of saddlebags. They set off for Burnt Cove. "It's only a 10-minute ride for me, but I'll take it easy on you." They rode at a moderate canter, until they rode into town. Cindy's father outside the dinner met them. "How was the ride?" he shouted. "Fine for me, but you'll have to ask the girls," he said, turning his head back to them. The two caught up a moment later. "Hi Dad," Cindy shouted. As she did, Vicky's father came out of the dinner. "So did you to have a good night?" he asked the girls. They had a good night, Zachary said, sliding off the saddle. Agamemnon gently dropped to the ground, and headed into the dinner. "Zach, don't worry about him, Edna probably has something out for him. True, he only has 2 drives, eat and sleep," Zachary concluded. Dave grabbed his cousin by the arm and introduced him to Vicky's father. "Will, this is Zachary, the closest thing in New England to a ghostbuster." Zachary and Will shook hands. "My actual title is Dr. Zachary Xavier Michael McLeod, Ph.D. I hold a doctorate in anthropology and parapsychology, but Ghostbuster is a good description." "So Vicky has told you about the old house?" Will ask. "Actually, I've known about it all my life, the legend, and the murders. I know everything there is to know about the place, but I've never been in it." "You've never been in the place you've researched your whole life?" he questioned. "Why not?" "Because I never have felt prepared for what might await me within," Zachary told Vicky's father. "Many things have happened in the past week that have forced me to return to the scene of a grievous crime against my clan, allies, and now your daughter. Have you ever spent the night within its wall?" "No," he replied, "I am usually on night watch at the station. Vicky, Cindy, and their cat Dust Bunny are the only ones who have tried to sleep there." "Well then, even you don't know the horrors within," Zachary concluded and walked inside the dinner. Edna smiled at him. "I knew you were in town when Agamemnon came in looking for the can of tuna I had just opened. He does that to every can I open at home. If he doesn't eat it, he at least wants to check it out." "Agamemnon, get down, you know the rules, no eating on the counter." The cat knocked the can to the floor. It landed open side up just as it was sitting on the counter. The cat soon followed. "I'm sorry Edna, sometimes I think he thinks he's a human." Agamemnon finished his meal and began to purr and rub on Eden's leg. Looking down at the cat, "Edna, I think you have a friend for life." Zachary removed from his pocket watch, and noted the time. Then walking over to the two girls he said, "Ladies, eat, rest, change, and whatever else you need to do. Meet me back here in about an hour and together we will go to the house." Zachary watched as the two girls walked back to Cindy's house. Dave then asked, "Do you really think that this will work?" "I sure hope so, if not. If not, another family member will be dead at the clawed hand of Melteroth." Dave concluded. If you need me, Zachary said to his cousin Dave, I'm getting my Gauss meters back from Buzz, any little advantage will help. Buy some ammo, you may well need your shotgun, Dave shouted at his cousin as he headed down to the hardware sporting goods store. He got his Gauss meters, but he passed on the ammo. He handed his sword over for quick run on the laser sharpener. Placing it back in the scabbard, he wandered back to the dinner. As he was coming, he saw the two girls walking to meet him. Are we going to leave the horses here? Vicky asked. I'd like to think so, I don't think they will fit in the house. I have the things we will need, do you have the map? Cindy replied, of course we do. We haven't let it out of our sight since we found it 4 days ago. With that they left. It took about 15 minutes to reach the house. The three stood on the metal bridge that connected it to the mainland. It was about 3 in the afternoon when they arrived, and thunderheads were gathering in the distance. Zachary looked around and said, well ladies, creepy weather to accent a creepy house. We have candles, and a lantern inside if we need them, Vicky commented. There are 2 flashlights in the kitchen, Cindy said, I believe that's where we put them. The trio walked up and opened the door. Waiting for them was Dust Bunny. We should get the kitten out of harm's way, Zachary spoke. How? Cindy replied. Have your father or mother come and get him, we can wait while you call. 5 minutes later Dust Bunny was in the company of Agamemnon at Cindy's house. Don't worry Vicky, he should be fine there. The 3 laid out the map near the fireplace in the ballroom. Zachary and Vicky compared it with his notes on the construction and additions he knew of. Cindy gathered up the flashlight, candles and lanterns, as the storm grew. Cindy had just returned to the ballroom, when a loud crash of thunder split the air. The lights flickered and died. Cindy said, it's a good thing I brought these. Vicky, could you take these matches from me and light one of the candles? Zach, I also have something for you, she said, handing him the box the Black Power revolver is in. It's loaded but 1 shot has been fired. The ladies lit 1 candle and the 2 lanterns. All carried flashlight, but the lanterns and the fireplace were now the main light sources. Zachary stood up with the map in hand. This makes no sense, he said to the 2 ladies, and they took a look at the map. According to this map there should be another door leading out of the ballroom. It's even mentioned in some of the eyewitness account from those who had seen Daniel, or Anis. Cindy got up and stared at the wall. Notice how the edges on that one piece of paneling doesn't look right, it's like it could be pulled off to reveal a door. Cindy moved to the edge of the panel, and shoved her short sword into that edge. The blade slid in easily. With a little pressure the panel came off with a snap. Behind the panel was a doorway that had been bricked shut. Zachary and Vicky now approached as Cindy continued to remove the paneling. Zachary felt the poor quality of the brickwork. This was hastily done, so I should be able to break it in. He brought his foot back and with several kicks the bricks moved and then collapsed. Well, I certainly fixed that, but not for the better. How's your foot? Vicky asked. Fine, he replied. As the dust settled the 3 peered into the darkness of the room. Very little was identifiable, as everything was covered with piles of dust and sheets of spider web. Everything was eerily quiet, until there was a sudden even louder crack of thunder. Vicky and Cindy both jumped, as Zachary ducked down for cover. Getting up he looked at the 2 girls. Okay, who needs to be changed? He asked them. This served to remind the 2 girls as to the state they were in, warm and overly squishy. Vicky put her hand up in a babyish voice said, me. Cindy, not to be outdone, did the same. Well, this will slow the adventure, but upstairs babies, so Uncle Zach can change your didies. They headed upstairs. Before doing so Zachary set up the Gauss meter just in case anything non-corporal emerged from the hole. Upstairs he had each baby take turns on the changing table, as the other watched. Vicky looked at Cindy. See, she has hair, so she's not the biggest baby. Then she lay down, and when her diaper was removed and after she was clean, she said, see, I'm baby smooth. Cindy told her friend, You haven't let me use your machine so I too can be baby smooth. She then stuck her tongue out at Vicky. He had just finished up helping the two get dressed when the Gauss meter went off. The three of them raced down the stairs to the hole in the wall. The Gauss meter was on its side and still giving off its alarm. Zachary picked it up and started scanning. All readings were normal. Something set it off, but what? The three looked at each other. Not one of them had a clue. Shining a mag light into the room, he saw no disturbance in the dust pattern on the floor or furniture. I'll reset this Gauss meter, and we'll use the smaller from my pack. He drawing his sword saying, the chase is on. He stepped through the hole in the bricks. Vicky held onto the Zachary's shirt tails. Cindy held Vicky's hand in the other was one of the lanterns. Shining the flashlight into where the lantern did not reach, he noted the size and shape of the room. The room was roughly a trapezoidal shaped, the bricked-up door being on the small end. The large end held some sort of bar and a large double door in the back. The entire room seemed to be listing toward the back. Behind the bar very few objects could be discerned, due to the high volume of dust. Zachary slowly led them towards the bar. As he approached he noticed a pulley and windlass mechanism. Turning the windlass lowered the chandelier. Held within was the remains of several wax candles. Vicky started lighting the candles, with the help of Cindy, and they soon had the room aglow. Zachary walked around the perimeter, taking readings with the Gauss meter. The two girls started looking around as well. There were 4 tables with chairs, a compass, sextant, and a painting of a ship adorned the room. Reaching behind the bar the girls were disappointed. Most of the bottles were tipped over and empty. The only 2 upright bottles had no labels and contained a substance that did not look drinkable. As Zachary walked the perimeter he felt something strike his boot. Looking down was a large brass key, attached to the key ring, as was a bosun's men's whistle. He picked it up. Girls, have you found any keys in this place? Yeah, Vicky replied, 2 sets. Well, we can add another one. He showed it to the girls. What do you suppose it's for? Cindy asked. Well, let's keep going and we might find out. They walked back to the double doors, to find them locked. Trying several keys, they opened up one lock. It took them several tries to open the second lock, but soon it was open. Each moved to the side of the door, with swords drawn. As the doors opened they moved around the corner in unison. They were met by the staring eyes of a skull placed upon a staff in the middle of the hallway. Affixed to it was a sign announcing that this was for the servant of Melteroth. Zachary walked past the macabre signpost and straight back to the sheet of spider web that covered a pane of glass. Slowly advancing to the glass he walked sword drawn. Using the point he cut down several of the thicker portion of the webs. It looks like a doorway, remarked Cindy. But for what, and to where? Vicky replied. Only one way to find out, Zachary said, putting on a pair of black leather gloves. He continued to remove the web until he found a handle. It turned easily but the door did not move. Shine one of those lights over here for a moment. Seeing the lock and handle in the light he realized that the mechanism was broken and could only be opened from the inside. Stand back, he ordered. He took the handle of his sword and turning it a small blade popped out of the pommel. He smashed one of the panes of glass with the blade. Next he reached in with his gloved hand, and opened the door. I'd say ladies first but in this situation, you'd understand. They walked into a small glass room. As they cleared away spider webs and dust, Vicky said, it's an elevator. I think you're right, said Zachary, but how does it work, and where does it go? Cindy spoke up, according to the map it goes down to the catacomb and Macbeth crypts. But how does it work? Vicky repeated. I think I've found out how, Zachary said, turning a wheel in the corner of the elevator. Slowly they descended, turn by turn. The 2 girls watched, as the walls of the shaft passed by the still open door. Here's the end, Zachary announced, the wheel goes no further. They walked from the elevator and with Zachary taking point slowly walked into this new area. Zach, Cindy whispered. What? He replied. I think I figured out the map. Instead of being a single map for each level, the artist drew them overlapping. We right now are under the dining room. Great, now if we knew the depth we're at, the map would make even more sense. Zachary remarked to the girls as he hacked his way through the spider webs and dust. Suddenly Zachary stopped the party. Did you hear that? He hissed. Hear what? Whispered Vicky. It sounds like a tree swaying in the breeze, Zachary responded. They stood silent for a few moments. Now I hear it, Vicky said. I hear it too, Cindy commented, but there are no trees on the map. The more they walked into the catacombs, the louder the sound grew. Soon a large tree root, penetrating the rock blocking their passage. Zachary examined it, amid the creaking of the branch moving in the wind and the water seeping in around it. We should be able to crawl under or over it. The three decided to crawl over the massive structure. Moving a few feet down the corridor, they encountered a large iron gate. Upon the wall and covering the gate were carved many Christian symbols. There was an empty dish under a crucifix hung on the wall that once contained holy water. The three searched for a way to open the gate. There was no lock, no hinges, and no evidence that the gate could move at all. It looks like a crypt, Vicky commented, but how did they get into it to inter the bodies? Maybe they came in from the other side of the crypt, Cindy commented. Not very likely going by the map Cindy holds, Zachary commented. He continued to examine the wall. Built into the holy water dish was a small metal disc. I wonder. Vicky, could you give me my pack? Vicky handed him his pack. Out it he pulled a small silver bottle. Opening it, he dumped it into the dish. Nothing happened. He reached his hand into the dish, touching the disc. Soon the gate violently shook and sunk into the floor. Now that's what I call an entrance, remarked Zachary. It scared the crap out of me, replied Vicky. Everything scares the crap out of you, Cindy commented. Yeah, but look who talking, Vicky taunted. Enough you two, scolded Zachary, or do two young ladies need a spanking? Both pouted and shook their heads. Good, now let's look around. When Zachary entered the crypt, he noticed where the heavy brass key went. There was a large keyhole and fitting on the other side of the entrance. Who would build a tomb that no one could get out of without a key? Unless, his voice trailed off. Vicky asked, maybe that were trying to keep something in. Like what? Said Cindy. What indeed, Zachary mused. Let's check out some of these crypts. Do we want to stay together or separate? Together, the two girls said in unison. Okay, right or left? Right, said the girls. They walked over to the first vault on the right. The lid was carved stone, in very 19th century style, has adorned with an angel. The name was carved in Duncan Charles Macbeth 1908 to 1955. The rank of Captain USN inlaid into the lid. AW.2CB's plaque under it was a Korean War veterans placard. Slowly Zachary pushed the sarcophagus open. As he did, the gate closed. Cindy ran to the gate. We're trapped in a tomb with a whole bunch of bodies. We're doomed. I have the key, remarked Zachary. You do? Yes, I do. If I thought we'd never get out, I would not have entered. Oh. He pushed the tomb closed, and they all walked over to the next, and then the next. 5 generations were buried in the crypt. After much searching, they finally came across the grave of Daniel Angus Macbeth 1910 to 1938. Well, this is the last, Zachary said, the Mad Macbeth. Before they opened the crypt, Zachary noticed something carved into the stone itself. Using his hand, he cleared away the dust enough to read some of what was carved into the crypt. Instead of having an angel carved into the cover, there was a circle surrounding a Star of David. Many symbols were carved into the circle. Ist Naminus Melteroth, Santos Diaminus Astaroth, was surrounding it all. In the name of Melteroth, son of the demon Astaroth, the Archduke of Hell, Zachary translated. Step back, girls, I fear we may need some protection at this juncture. Zachary and the ladies stepped a few feet from the tomb, when he drew a small bag from a pouch in his belt. From a scabbard in his boot he removed the arthame they had seen the night before. In the ground and stone he carved a circle and Star of David. As he did this his lips moved as he murmured an incantation. Next he emptied the pouch into the groves he had just carved. The two girls watched as the groves filled with silver metallic dust. Having completing the ring he set a candle upon the points of the star, and lit them. Stay within the circle, no matter what happens within you're safe, he warned them. The circle glowed under the enchantment forming a barrier of light. Slowly he pushed the tomb open with the end of his sword, making sure that he himself did not leave the circle. From the crypt arose a horrid stench and a foul green smoke grew, until it lit into a fierce, unworldly creature. The beast was familiar to the girls, having seen it 2 days before. Zachary stood before it defiant, his sword in one hand the arthame in the other. You are the Avatar, the beast voice echoing through the chamber. Run now, foolish mage, lest I take your life now. Meltaroth, scourge of Astaroth loins, you have no power over me and you know that. If you wish to take my life, here I stand before you, take me. The beast reared back, but stopped. The powers of good are in motion, against your evil. Soon it will end. For once and for all we will prevail. The house of MacLeod and Macbeth against MacDermot. The beast stood upon the tomb and changed into the hag. Really, the hag now spoke, I am Anis the Black, your bones will be my meal, but until then, the hag trailed off. Anis, you and your legions have forgotten the dawn approaches, so bask in its light. Zachary threw his arthame into the rock above the tomb. The knife glared into a blinding white light, causing the rock itself to open, and the first light of the sun broke into the tomb. Anis was struck, and in moments burst into flames. The blade fell back into the ground within the circle besides it. Zachary drove his sword, forming a cross. Ist nomine Deus, I cast you out, Anis the Black. Zachary aimed his hand at the burning hag. A bolt of light flew from his hand, she exploded into dust. Zachary fell forward, landing next to his weapons. The demon fled. Some other time, mage, it laughed as it vanished with the dawn. Vicky and Cindy helped him to his feet. Zachary, can you hear me? Cindy asked. Vicky kissed him saying, it will be okay, baby, the creature is gone. Zachary stirred. For now, he whispered. Struggling to get to his feet. He won't be this easy to find, he stood and pronounced the final words. The ring's protective glow died. Zachary staggered to the tomb and collected some of the dust that was the hag. With this we will find him. The trio slowly made their way back to the house. Vicky commented after helping Zachary to stagger down the corridor, oh, Zachary's wet too, I guess we all need changing. It took the trio almost until 7 a.m. to climb out of the crypt, through the passage, up the elevator, and back to the ballroom. The expedition to the tomb had taken all afternoon and night. When they entered the bar, Zachary said, will you listen to that thing? Everyone recognized the loud chirping of the Gauss meter and noticed that the laser tripwire had also been tripped. The one question remained, by who or what? The 17th of September 1999. Slowly they made their way to the nursery. Zachary changed first the two girls, and then the two girls took great joy in diapering him as well. Zachary tucked the two into their cribs, and set off down the hall for the Lord's room at then beginning of the hall. After diapering himself, he collapsed into a heap upon the large feather mattress. Over and over in his mind the events of the evening replayed, the summoning, the fight and the casting out. Each time the events never changed. Upon awakening he decided he had done the right thing. What he noticed first that night is what he noticed every time he'd woken up his whole life, he was soaked. The next thing he noticed met him with a more ominous feeling. The whole place seemed to be enveloped by a chilling cold breeze. Fearing the worst and knowing instinctively that it came from the girls' room, he grabbed one of the cloaks from the closet and his sword. He charged into the nursery, awakening the girls. Behind you! Vicky screamed. The beast struck first, and in the heat of the battle the monster struck him across the back, arm, leg and side. Zachary whirled around, throwing the cape out as a shield, and bringing the sword around, severing the right arm of the beast, before he slumped to the floor. The monster let out a deafening, horrifying scream, and then leapt out the leaden glass window of the nursery. A shaken, soiled Victoria ran to Zachary's side. She placed several of the clean cloth diapers over the wound. Cindy quickly ran down the stair, grabbing the phone. She first called her mother, then she called 911. "My cousin's been hurt and is bleeding real bad. Send an ambulance to the old Macbeth Manor, fast." "Who has been hurt?" the operator asked the frantic Cynthia. "My cousin Zachary McLeod. Damn it, send an ambulance, please, he's bleeding real bad." "Miss, an ambulance is on its way. How was he injured?" Cynthia thought for a moment. Would they believe the truth? "Some wild animal attacked him," was the story she went with. Just as she finished saying those words, the ambulance arrived. Cindy dropped the phone and ran to open the door. She hurriedly led the EMTs up the stairs to the nursery where Vicky and the wounded Zachary were. The EMTs were suddenly aghast, not by the injuries they saw on Zachary but by the severed arm that lay on the floor next to where the Zachary's bloody sword fell. They quickly broke out the universal dressings and tried to cover the wounds. Next they started a large bore for and called for a Coast Guard helicopter for transport to Portland. Cindy and Vicky watched as Zachary was lifted onto a litter and taken to the awaiting helicopter. Vicky's father then took the girls back to Cindy's. When they arrived at Cindy's, they were met by Sheriff Davis and Debbie Hunter, the psychologist. "Will, Miss Debbie would like to speak to the girls for a moment." The girls were led into the den where they were questioned as to what took place the night before and what happened tonight. Each time neither girl would give a full account of the event. "Ladies, why won't you tell me about what happened?" "I am here to help you." "If we did tell you, I know you wouldn't believe me or Cindy," Vicky interjected. "Okay," Cindy spoke. "First we entered the crypts, there we met and dispelled the hag from our dreams, then Melteroth came and attacked us, but Zachary saved us, and was injured in the process. There. Now you're heard it, so just leave us alone." Cindy cuddled up to her friend as a scared child would to her mother. The psychologist didn't know what to say, she only told them to wait there. In the other room the parents were waiting. Something has severely traumatized these girls. Their hallucinations are very elaborate, making me unsure of whom they are trying to defend, themselves or Zachary. What I would like to do is place them in the hospital for a couple days to sort these things out. Maybe then they'll tell the truth. "Listen, women," William spoke, "I have seen many things in my life and I cannot explain what happened in my house tonight. I also have never known my daughter to lie about anything, besides whether she's changed her diapers or not. So I don't buy your story. Did you see the room where this took place? Did you see the severed limb that the police have taken into evidence? I may not know what's going on here, but I know that will not be explainable by the likes of you." "That's right," David said in support of his friend. "There are more things in heaven and earth than the likes of mortal men may dream." "Well then, be that way," she shouted and left the house. "Now to find out what really happened," Edna said to her husband. The two went to the girls' room only to find them sleeping cuddled up in each other's arms. Edna walked out, her husband and friend were standing in the hallway. It's best to let them sleep. As the three were walking back down the stair, they heard the phone ring. "Macbeth residence," Edna said. "They're only minor wounds, save one. You'll be back tomorrow after they've given you some more fluids." "Well, that great," I tell them. "No, okay, we'll keep the surprise. Zachary will be back tomorrow morning, after they've treated him for shock and other things." The two girls awaken after having the first night since they slept at Zachary's without nightmares. Getting up changing, they ran downstairs. Edna asked, "Why are you two in such a hurry?" "Well, we thought that maybe you could take us to see Zachary in the hospital," Cindy asked. "I won't be able to take you until the afternoon, it's Saturday, remember." The colors are turning and the tourists are coming in droves. Today's the day when the dinner does the most business. Edna told them. Until then, go outside, the horses need looking after and the cats are already wanting to go out. The two girls walked out to the yard and fed and watered the horses. As they did, Dust Bunny and Agamemnon kept in close pursuit of the girls. After the chores were done, the girls and the cats sat on the pouch waiting. Suddenly Agamemnon took off running at a figure that was getting closer. It was a man, his left arm was in a sling and his left leg appeared quite stiff. The cat ran to him and jumped onto his shoulder. "Zachary!" Vicky yelled, and ran to him. Cindy followed. "We thought you were almost dead," Vicky scolded. "Me? No bastard demon is killing this avatar." "You really are the avatar," Vicky said wide-eyed. "I must be considering the attack I survived, now let's go someplace and sit." "The diner," Cindy said. The trio entered the diner, and sat down in the first booth. As they did, Vicky noticed something sticking out the back of Zachary's pants. "Is that a bandage?" she wondered. "Zach, you're back," Edna said, bringing him a cup of tea. "How do you feel?" "Sore, but in one piece," he commented. "Would you like some breakfast? I'll make you whatever you want." "Bacon and eggs would be nice, if you don't mind." "Not at all," Edna left. Vicky leaned over and felt his backside. She whispered to him, "Are you wearing a diaper?" He whispered back, "Yes." "What are you two talking about?" Cindy asked. "The sacral nerve arch damage I received in the fight," Zachary stated. "You mean like I was born with?" "Yes, like you were born with. I am normal in every way except for bowel and bladder control." "So we're all diaper babies," Vicky shouted. Cindy and Zachary quickly shushed her. Thankfully the restaurant was empty save them and Cindy's parents. "Has anyone been back to the house since the event?" Zachary asked the two ladies. "The coroner, the sheriff, and the state crime lab. Other than law enforcement, no one has been back to the house. My father has stayed at the watch station since," Vicky explained. "I don't blame them for that," Zachary said. "I lost over 2 pints of blood that night, and it would have been more if it was not the help of 2 messy baby girls." Zachary hugged the two ladies. After he was done eating they left, for Cindy's grandma's shop. "Hi, Aunt Susan," Zachary said over the ringing of the door chimes. "Well, Zachary, you're back so soon." She watched as her bandaged and diapered great-nephew entered. "You must be the chosen one, for I hear you did damage to the beast. Your cousin Dave dropped this off for safekeeping, so I will return it to you." She handed Zachary's sword back to him. "Cynthia, close up the shop and follow me to the back." Cindy turned over the closed sign and locked the door. The three then followed Cindy's grandmother to her apartment in the back. "This you will need," she handed Zachary a small package. "What's in it?" he asked. "Open it, child." Within the package was a finger that had been severed off the beast during the attack. It was adhering to the sword, then I placed some of the dust from the hag on and it fell off. Zachary smiled. "Where did you place the rest of my items, Aunt Susan?" "They are in the box where I placed Stephen's item upon his demise, the iron box marked with crosses and bathed in holy water. Stephen severed a finger from the hag before he was killed. 2 nights ago it fell into dust. I knew then that you and you alone are the avatar. Take these as well." She handed him 2 loaded chambers for the Black Power revolver. The bullets are silver and core filled with chrism. No evil beast would be able to make any major attack once injured with these. She reached out and hugged the 3. "Go with God, children, and end this surge. Now go." They left the house and headed to the manor. Zachary climbed the stairs and gathered what of his magic items he had left behind. As he bent down to gather his things, he noticed Vicky and Cindy checking their diapers. The 2 ladies stepped forward and checked his as well. "Before we do anything, all 3 of us messy babies should be changed," Cindy announced. They walked down the hall to the nursery. There were still tape marks on the floor, but most of the blood was now gone. Zachary, you go first. Zachary removed his pants and lay down on the changing table. The two removed his diaper and both started to clean him. Well, Cindy, Vicky said, do you think our new baby needs lotion, so he doesn't get diaper rash? Oh yes, I think that too. The two young girls lotioned Zachary's loins, covering every spot, paying close attention to his penis, until he came. See, it still works, Vicky said while wiping him with a baby wipe. Cindy said, I'm next. Cindy was a total mess, but once she was clean, Zachary placed a diaper under her. She guided Zachary to fingering her to orgasm. Next he went down on Vicky. Bathed in after glow, diapered and satisfied, they finished gathering their weapons, spell components, pouches, knapsacks and a well-stocked diaper bag. They were gone. As they wandered back into town, the Gauss meter that Zachary was carrying went off. Zachary drew his sword, moved the Gauss meter to determine what was causing the problem. Behind him, shining flashlights into the shadowing woods, the two girls scanned for anything. Suddenly Zachary and Cindy saw what looked like a man with one arm run towards the hanging tree. Holy shit! The meter is going nuts, Zachary yelled. The three followed the apparition, but soon he was gone. The meter's dead, but we had one hell of a reading. 24 microgauss is a major event, considering that there are no power lines in this woods. Upon returning to town, they grabbed the horse Apocalypse and Nightmare, who were quite happy to be getting exercise after being confined to the yard for 2 days. They took off heading for the hanging tree. It took them almost 2 hours to walk what it took only 15 minutes to ride, the horses handling the muddy gravel road much faster than their walking. They made it to the hanging tree around 6 that night. They horse-tied out of the way for their safety, then set up camp. Zachary removed his arthame, drew a circle upon the ground, filled its ridges with the metallic dust. On a stone he placed some of the dust, formed the hag and the beast's finger. He removed from his belt a small vial. He placed the vial upon the stone, and what looked like a rusty tar residue became liquid blood. He continued the incantation. The area around the ring began to glow, and soon before them stood the injured madman. Return to me my finger, so that I may plant it to become an arm. The man before them howled in an eerie, painful moan. Please return it to me. Who is thy master? Zachary commanded. Melteroth, the zombie moaned. Why is he thy master? By what means? I failed him in life, so now I must serve him in death. The creature approached the ring, stopping short. Where does thy master stay? I do not know, he painfully groaned. Liar. Zachary picked up the finger and placed it over the fire. Tell me where he lies, or go forever without an arm. Zachary now moved the finger close to the flame. In the cave in the hill, where the Sabbaths were held. They were to be kept secret. I can tell you no more. I fear my master wrath already upon me. The creature began to cower in fear. Zachary removed another vial. Within it was a clear liquid. He dipped the finger in it as began to smoke. Ist nomine Padri, Santos, Spiritus Sanctus. Throwing the rest of the vial back to the zombie, there was a flash of white light and a moan of relief. Before them now stood the spectral image of man. The spectre spoke, I thank you for my freedom, mage. Go with God, Zachary said. With that he vanished. Cindy and Vicky saw Zachary slide to his knee and lay himself down. They rushed to his side. Now sleep, my children, it is time to rest. In the morning light we will talk of this. The 19th of September 1999. The next morning Zachary was the first up. He had rekindled the fire and had tea waiting for the girls. Cindy awoke next. Zachary, do you want your cousin to change you or your girlfriend? Well, she is a girl and she is a friend, so I guess she is my girlfriend, but I'm already changed and so are you. Cindy felt her diaper and noticed that she was wearing a clean, dry diaper. You're no fun, she said. I wanted to do the diaper changes like we did yesterday. I know you enjoyed it and so did Vicky. How do your wounds feel? Sore, but I think they are getting better. Vicky awoke last. As she did, Cindy said, his being no fun, he changed us all while we slept. Well, there will be other changes, Vicky said. With that they all enjoyed a quick breakfast of tea and shortbread scones. They all enjoyed the bluff side view overlooking the house and the sea. After a rest they remounted the horses and rode back into town. As they entered town they were flagged down by a state police officer. Are you Zachary McLeod? Yes, I am. Why? We have a state forensic expert who would like to talk to you. The officer motioned for him to dismount. Before he dismounted, Cindy and Vicky had ridden upside his horse. He handed them the reins and told Vicky, takes the horses back to Cindy's. I'll meet up with you later. Zachary dismounted, grabbing his staff for support. He followed the officer. They went into the sheriff's office. Zachary was asked to leave his staff at the door, then frisked, an extremely painful procedure considering his many wounds on his arm, back, leg and left side. The officer that frisked him announced, "He's clean." He was led to the back room of the sheriff office. There a familiar face, Dr. James Jordan, a forensic anthropology colleague from the university, met him. "Jim," he asked, "what the hell is going on?" "Well, we just finished the preliminary analysis of the arm you severed, and quite frankly I am amazed." "Why? What's so amazing about an arm?" "Its age and how well it preserved." Dr. Jordan opened the freezer case and showed him the arm. It was complete save the one finger. We had skin and tissue samples analyzed and tested for age and makeup. The thing is over 250 years old. Preliminary test shows that it was preserved in a peat bog. There has never been a find like this in New England or in Canada. The closest peat bog is in Pennsylvania. Now how did this arm get here? We also found tissue fragments from under the nails that are traceable to the skin and tissue cut out of your back, arm, leg and side. I can't explain it. How was a mummified arm able to be used to attack someone, causing the extensive injuries you suffered? "Houston, we have a problem," Zachary said. His colleague smiled. "Did you get tissue samples from the leaden glass door frame?" "Yes, we did," said the coroner. "They match perfectly with the arm, but more than likely they came from other parts of the corpse." Sheriff Davis asked, "Zach, can you explain any of this?" "Not without it sounding like something from the X-Files." "I understand," the sheriff said. "Then I am afraid that I and the state police are going to make this incident top secret. It is not to be discussed with anyone who is not directly involved. All in favor?" "Sure, let's not make more trouble than this is worth," Zachary commented as he leaned against the door jamb for support. "I agree as well," said Jim and the coroner almost at the same time. "Then we will say nothing of this to anyone who is not directly involved. Zachary, I expect you'll to tell the ladies and their parents to stay quiet as well." Sheriff Davis looked directly at Zachary. "That will not be a problem," he whispered. "Well, then you're free to go," the sheriff said, having another officer help him out. He took his staff and hobbled behind the restaurant where Cindy's parents' home was. The two ladies were waiting for him on the front porch. He horses tried to the hitching post. "Ladies, we need to talk," Zachary started with, "so let's go inside." He walked past them and they followed him up the stair and opened the door for him. Gathering in the den, Zachary then spoke. "The sheriff and the state police have decided to make all these last days events top secret. That is, they do not under any circumstances want us to discuss these last days events with anyone who is not directly involved. I have agreed to this and I hope you will too, because quite frankly if we did talk no one would believe us, or they would think we're nuts anyway." There was a pause of silence. The Vicky spoke. "We are to speak of this to no one? What about our families?" Cindy broke in. "We can talk them. They are directly involved, right Zachary?" "Yes, you can talk to them." "So what's next?" Vicky asked. "Where do we go from here?" "To the caves of the Sabbaths, that's if we can find it." "What's a Sabbath?" asked Cindy. A Sabbath was a meeting of witches called by the devil himself. The most commonly believed time for witches' Sabbath was on Halloween. But that's just old folklore. I'm not too sure what that has to do with the caves. What caves? Asked Cindy. I've lived here all my life and I've never seen any caves. The caves have existed since prehistoric times. The reason that you haven't heard of them is not because their location has been kept secret. The main entrance was blasted shut in the 17th century. That is when witches and savages used them, or they were believed to. The townspeople packed the front with gunpowder and collapsed them. So how are we going to get to them if the entrance has been closed for so long? Well, there is a way to get into them, but it's not an easy task. It takes the right time of year and the right angle of the sun. On the autumnal equinox, is the only time the rear entrance comes into view. Right now it's September 19th. In 2 days we will be able to enter the caves and hopefully destroy the demon. Until then there are a few things we will need. We'll need some items from town, some from my place and some for the manor. Well, start with town. The three made their way down to the hardware sporting goods store. Buzz greeted them as they arrived. Buzz, Zachary asked, have you any new iron filings? Sorry, Zach, unless you would like to make them, Buzz commented. Well, then I'll take these 3 files. He placed 3 metal files on the counter. Will that be all? Buzz asked. Yes, I think that will be all. Then the cost is $22.45. He rang up the total and Zachary paid him. Zach, if I may ask, why the iron filings anyway? What do you use them for? I'd like to tell you, but it's been declared a secret. Buzz, even if I did tell you, you wouldn't understand. With that they left. The next stop is the church, Zachary said. What are we going to get from the church? Cindy asked. A last confession, Vicky said. I'm not to that point, Zachary said to Vicky. Holy water is what we're after. The priest knows me and he should be expecting us. They were met at the church door by Father Andrew. Well, Zachary, you're still alive. So the demon has not won. Far from it, Zachary said as they entered the old Anglican church. Father Andrew meets Cindy and Vicky, my 2 maiden fair. So the prophecy is true? The priest asked. We won't know that it is true until after it done, Zachary commented. What we need right now is to refill the supply of holy water. The cistern has not moved. Please take as much as you need, the priest said. I will see you before you go. They filled 12 vials with holy water. As they prepared to leave, the priest handed Zachary an item wrapped within a dark purple shroud. If the prophecy is true, this should help you end it forever. Practice well, mage, you 3 are the only hope. Thank you, Father, and goodbye. The 3 left the church and headed back to the diner. What did the priest give you? Cindy asked. I'll show you at my place tonight, not until then. Will we need it to succeed? Is it some holy relic? Vicky asked. Yes, it's a holy relic, but success is possible without it. The 3 returned to the diner around 6 that evening. Their parents met the 2 girls. How was your day? Vicky's father asked. Fine, why? I was just wondering. You look a lot better today than you have over the past few days. Even you, Zachary, seem to be getting better. Thank you, Zachary said and continued eating. Okay kids, what gives? Edna said. You've been going around town like you're on some strange scavenger hunt. So tell me what's going on. The final showdown between good and evil, Cindy said. Okay, and you 3 represent the good? Yep, Cindy said. Zachary, what have you been telling these impressionable little girls? So what strange thoughts have you been filling their heads with? None more stranger than explaining the cause of what's been happening to them over this last week. The autumnal equinox is coming, that marks the time of the battle. If things go the way they are prophesied, the curse upon this town and our clans will be gone forever. So please don't implore us to explain any further, for it may sow the seeds of doubts that could be fatal. With that they finished eating. Afterward Zachary sent the girls out to ready the horses. Zachary sat down with the parents. I know not much of this makes sense to any of you save David, but the final countdown has begun and we cannot pull out. Legends often start with a grain of truth, and the grains of this legend have given fruit. I now know that I am the Avatar, your daughters are the maidens fairs. Their virginity intact only because of their diapered bottoms. We should all survive, but know that this is not a sure thing. One or all of yous may not return, but we won't know until the paths is walked and the game is over. So with love in our heart I wish you adieu. I will try everything in my power to keep your daughters safe. Now we must go. Zachary walked out of the diner to the waiting horse. Taking both sets of reins, he told the girls to say their goodbye. A short time later they emerged, with teary eyes, and they left. At Zachary's house they met in the kitchen. Zachary gave each of them a bar of iron and told them to make as many filings as they could. That is what the magic circle is made of. I will mix it with the silver filings I already have made. They worked long into the night, all three shaving the iron bars down to scraps. Zachary changed them and then changed himself. Finally he walked to the couch and fell asleep. As two girls trying to remove his diapers, they awakened Zachary. Ladies, let us not play now, we have one last day to prepare. He got up and realized that he should have let the girls change him, as he was quite a mess. Laying back down he relented. The two ladies changed him, but did not bring him off. Getting up now in clean dry diapers he said, "Come." He walked into the kitchen and had each grab a bag of the iron silver filings. He led them out to the patio where they had seen the first summoning. He entered the ring and next on one side to the altar. He had the two ladies knee on the other side. He took out the dark purple shroud given him by the priest. He slowly unveiled it. The object looked to them like a microphone, with spikes on the outside. This is a holy water sprinkler. It is said to have been used to dispel demons in its country of origin, in the hand of St. Michael, so it is said. It will now again be used, but by the three of us. At dawn tomorrow the battle begins. He set the item on the stone, and began his chant. Soon the glow had encased them. Finally he took each girl by the hand. From three we are to be one in battle, our strength will increase and I give you my powers as well. Then you will each control a circle. He set his arthame on the altar, it glowed then grew into three separate blades. He gave a blade to each lady. Recite the inscription on the side to draw the ring, but remember you cannot leave the ring. If you do, death would be the best thing for you. If you are lucky. Well now my maidens fair, the glow faded, we ride. Gathering up their packs, diapers, swords, clean clothes, food and other needed items, they mounted the horses. He cried. They travelled about a mile further into the hill surrounding Zachary's house. I own all this, so don't worry, we're not trespassing. They soon came to a large pile of rocks. Whoa, he shouted, pulling back hard on the reins. This was the entrance, destroyed by fools. We'll leave the horses here. He dismounted and took up his pack. He took the reins of Nightmare, and let the two ladies dismount. The sun is fading, but we should have time to reach the back. The three hiked into the woods, for what seemed like miles upon miles of uphill rocks and crevasses. Just before dusk had completely overtaken the sky, they came to a large flat area of stones. One of these is the entrance. The dawn's light will reveal which one. The three set up camp. Okay, Zachary, how will we use the power we now share in battle? Vicky asked. How will we able to subdue a creature not of this world? We're just normal girls, right? Cindy inquired. You are far from normal, you're both virgins for one. Cindy, you are of the blood of my kin. Vicky, you represent the outside help, you have the most power over this beast, because you are not involved in the blood feud. Your powers will flow naturally like your life's breath, it will be instinctual. I will cast Cindy, you will intensity, Victoria, you will be the mediator. Together, if we are strong of heart and conviction, we will win. Zachary lay down, we're changed and I know I am tired, so sleep, dawn comes early. The 21st of September 1999. Zachary awakened before the dawn, changed and rekindled the fire. He opened his pack and unrolled the robes he'd been holding for years. Placing them over his head, he wrapped the belt around, so it held without being tied. He draped the component pouches, and went to awaken the girls. Vicky awoke first. She had to admit she did not expect to see Zachary over her in black and silver robes, his head hidden in the depths of the cowl. "I'm sorry if I frightened you. It's a cool fall morning, with a vile wind coming in. We may not see the sun, then all will be left in limbo until the spring." Cindy awoke next. "What an ominous-looking sky," she commented, looking to the west. "Do you think we will see the sun so we can find the entrance?" "I'll summon the wind," Zachary said as he spread his arms and began a silent chant. He drew with right arm from the east and pointed it west. As he did, a breeze started to build up around the trio. Soon the breeze had built into a gale force howling. The clouds split and a shaft of sunlight struck and warmed the ground. The two girls watched as the area grew and they recognized a natural hinge in the rock. "There's the doorway," Zachary spoke. "Ladies, push the stone." The two ladies pushed on one side of the stone and soon a passage opened. Zachary followed the two girls down, through the narrow dark stone passage. The passage widened as they walked deeper and deeper into the rocks. Soon they found themselves in a large vaulted chamber. The ceiling must have been at least 20 feet high. The rest of the chamber was round and over 70 feet in diameter. Zachary walked into the center. He picked up a stick from the dirt in the floor. The two girls got closer and noticed that this was not a stick but an ivory wand with silver caps over each end. "It's probably left from some old Sabbath. It was used to draw the circle where the demon would arise." Judging by where it was found, its user crossed the line of his own circle, and became demon bait. "Well, ladies, let's mark where the 3 rings will stand till the battle can begin at dusk." Zachary walked out from what he believed was the original containment circle for the demon. From there he paced from the 12 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 4 o'clock positioning. "Cindy, you will take the 8 o'clock, Vicky, you get the 4 o'clock. The casting will be done counterclockwise." They spent most of the day preparing, and fasting, as Zachary said, to purify the body and the soul. This actually helped avoid messy diaper changes, but it was what's specified in the 3 spell books and the mage's own Gilmore. As they finished the preparation, Zachary asked the ladies to come to him. "Ladies, now is the time for the calling. Get undressed and put these on." He handed each lady a white and gold robe. The robes, like his, had not seams. They were soft and seemed to be made of silk. He taught them how to tie the waist and where the items they would need would be hidden. As the 3 finished, Zachary noticed a small stream of light signaling that setting sun. "To the circle's children, the battle will soon begin." Zachary took out his own wand and drew the containment rings and the junctures to the other rings. Then each walked to their circle. "Whatever you see of you, do not leave the circle. Within it you are protected. Demons have the power to tempt, but if you disbelieve them, the illusion fades. Steel yourselves, for if we fail, there will be hell to face." In the literal sense. Zachary stood and spoke the first words: Adam, Te, Dajaram, Amtet, Algar, Algasna. He then drew his Arthame and drew his ring. The 2 ladies followed. Soon the 3 were encased in rings of magic. As they spread the metal filings, the glow intensified. "Aste menita akalgi neta tenet, ist naminus et deus, I summon thee, Melteroth, bastard of Ashtaroth. Sangli, Tobar, Viritorum, Tena Baltazosum." Soon flames shot forth from the earth, filling the central containment ring. Flames filled the juncture line, then approached their circles but stopped short. A great stench began to pervade within the chamber, and soon, with a sudden flash of eerie green light, there stood the beast. It looked at the girls and then turned its attention to Zachary. "So, mage," the beast mocked him, "you dare to summon me? Does the fool so avidly seek death? I see you've trained the children, they will be of little help. Flee now and wait till our legions enter your world. If you are that confident that you will win, please try. Exit the ring of flames and enter mine or the maiden's fair rings." Melteroth stood upon its hind legs and began to laugh. The cavern reverberated with his voice, as he grew to reach the ceiling. "You cannot stop me." The beast pointed a clawed hand toward Victoria. Soon the vision of her mother appeared. "No!" she shouted, "you can't be here, you're dead." She closed her eyes and concentrated. Soon the vision faded. "So you were saying, Fulroth, the children will be of little help. One has defeated your illusions. What's next, sleight of hand?" Zachary mocked the demon. Looking over at Vicky, he smiled. Next, the breast turned his attention to Cynthia. A beam of eerie flame emanated from its other clawed hand and headed towards her. She began to say in a silent chant. The flames stopped short and circled around the chamber until they struck the ceiling, dropping a stalagmite upon the beast. All went silent. Then in rage and anger the beast flung the stone at Zachary. He fell flat to the floor and the stone struck the wall behind him. This caused several stones to fall and strike Vicky. "No!" Zachary shouted. He leapt to his feet and began to say a long whispery chant. The glow around his ring grew. Suddenly he loosed a wild blast energy that stuck the beast in the chest. The creature screamed in agony. Cindy joined in the fray, using the power Zachary had given her to strike. Out of the blue, Vicky fired a shot from the black powder pistol. The anointed silver bullet struck the beast in the back. It screamed in rage and agony. From its arm jetted a set of claws that struck both the girls, pinning them to the floor. Next, the beast turned its attention on Zachary. "Now, bastard, you will die in a most unpleasant way." Zachary reached around to his belt and grabbed the holy water sprinkler. Pushing a button in the handle, 4 vials of holy water sprung out, striking the beast. Zachary then shouted, "Ist nomine Deus, I cast you out in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit." He flung the now glowing holy water sprinkler at the beast, striking it in the forehead. The beast roared as a pure white glow began to envelop it. Suddenly a shaft of blinding white split it in half as the beast exploded into a reeking pile of fetid flesh. Zachary fell to the floor exhausted. The 2 girls watched from their magic circles as they suddenly felt the floor beneath them begin to shake. The quaking earth unpinned them from the ground. Soon the rumbling built and the floor beneath the beasts remained split and the earth itself swallowed them up. When all was silent, Zachary staggered to his feet. All 3 of them were soaked, messy and a bit battered and bloody, but none though they worse for wear considering their ordeal. The 22nd of September 1999. "Hello. Victoria, Cynthia, Zachary, is anyone down there?" a voice called. "Down here," cried Vicky. Soon Commander Henderson, and the search and rescue group from the Coast Guard Station, and the Sheriff Department, entered from the opposite passage. "We felt the earthquake and got concerned when the horses returned to town. Rider less," William said. Zachary walked over to where the demon had been and picked up the holy water sprinkler. "Well, we were down here the whole time. May I ask how you go in through that entrance?" "The earthquake opened it back up," the commander added. "Zachary saved us all," Vicky added. "The demon is banished forever." "Right, Zachary." "You're right, now let us leave this moldy, stinking cavern," Zachary commented. They followed the rescuers out of the cavern, where they were met by a large contingent of townspeople, who had come out to see the rescue. Zachary boarded the rescue vehicle with Vicky cuddling to his side, Cindy on the other. They were driven back to town. Susan Macbeth, Cindy's grandmother, next met them. "The curse is over," Zachary spoke, as he hugged his great-aunt. "Finally," she whispered back. The entire group headed to Cindy's parents' home. As Zachary tried to enter, he suddenly collapsed. Vicky quickly ran to his aid. "Zachary," she cradled him in her arms, "what's wrong?" Zachary reached over and raised his arm slightly. The side of his robe appeared darker and was covered with a warm, sticky substance. "He's bleeding," she shouted, "he's bleeding," as her white robe was being covered by the blood oozing for the torn stitches in his side. "Medics, on the double," Vicky's father shouted, as 2 of his air evac medics charged to his aid. Vicky rocked him, you can't leave me, not after this." Her tears coursed down her cheeks. Cindy pulled her friend away and hugged her as Zachary was taken to an awaiting chopper. "It will be okay, the curse is over," Cindy told her. Vicky's father walked over to his daughter and her friend. The three stood and watched as the dolphin lifted off, heading to Portland. After it had gone, her father spoke, "If you two girls get changed, we can meet him in Portland." The two girls looked at him as if he spoke a different language. "Come on, let's get you two out the robes, dirty diapers, and into some normal clothes, and we can be off." The two wandered like zombies into Cindy's bedroom and changed each other. Cindy let Vicky borrow some of her clothes. They were almost the same size, with Cindy being a bit smaller on top. After they changed, Cindy spoke. "He's going to be all right? He's the hero, and heroes are supposed to vanquish the evil and live happily ever after." "This isn't a fairy tale, Cindy, but I don't think he's gonna die either," Vicky trailed off. "I just have a feeling." "Come on, you two," Vicky's father shouted from downstairs. "Hurry up, ladies, we'll be leaving in a minute," Edna said, "so let's go." The girls hurried down the stair and climbed into the back of Vicky's father's Land Rover, and they headed for Portland. It was an unusual trip, at least by the parents' standards. The girls said very little, and spent most of their time looking out the windows. Finally, after an hour's drive, they were in Portland and headed to the University Hospital. There the two girls ran up to the information desk and asked what room Zachary McLeod was in. The women asked, "Do you know when he was admitted?" She looked on the computer screen. "Wait, he was released about a week ago." "We know that, but he was brought in again today," Cindy said. "He should have just been brought in by a Coast Guard chopper," Vicky added. "Oh, the earthquake victim, he's in surgery." "Are you family?" Vicky said, "Yes, he's my fiancé." His father gave her a questioning look. Cindy smiled and said, "He's my cousin." "The family waiting is on the 3rd floor, room 325, the clerk added. "Take that elevator to the 3rd floor and follow the signs." When they entered the family waiting area, Vicky asked the clerk about Zachary. "How long has he been in surgery? Why are you family?" "Not yet, we're only engaged," Vicky answered. "He's been in surgery for about 20 minutes so far. They need to close up several bleeders that were tore open. After that, he is going to need several units of blood and plasma to make up for what he's lost." "When will we be able to see him?" "In about 2 hours. If you want, you can wait in the waiting area or visit the cafeteria or gift shop to help the time pass." Vicky turned to Cindy. "Should we wait or go get something to eat?" Cindy smiled. "Let's check out the gift shop." "Dad, is it all right for us to go find the gift shop?" Vicky asked. "Sure, we'll wait here for you," Vicky's father said. "Thanks, Dad." The two headed off down the corridor to the elevator. The two exited the elevator and set off down the hall for the gift shop. "Now let's see what we can get our baby," Vicky said. They wandered around the gift shop looking at the items. They chose Rugrats Get Well balloon, and a stuffed teddy bear. Next they went to the cafeteria and got some ice cream. They took their time in eating, but spoke very little, both being anxious enough with not knowing Zachary's fate. The two wandered around for about an hour before they returned to the waiting area. Upon seeing the girls return, Vicky's father said, "Zachary is being moved to a room on the 4th floor, we can meet him up there." Taking the elevator, they found Zachary's room with ease. Lying in the bed, his eye closed, his diapers visible, and an 4 started in each arm. The two approached with caution. Zachary's eyes opened and he said in a whispery voice, "Hello, ladies." The two went to him. "How's my baby?" Vicky said. "We got you some presents," Cindy said, showing him the balloon and giving him the teddy. "So Zach, when do they plan to release you?" Vicky's dad asked. "I don't know, the doctor is still pretty mad that I completely undid her handiwork in only 1 week's time. Right now she has me on bed rest, so until her orders change." "You're stuck here," Edna commented. "Exactly," Zachary said. Vicky's father then asked Zachary, So when did you and Vicky become engaged? I don't know, but I'm sure Vicky will explain later. Hey, Vicky said, I have an idea. Do you think your doctor would release you into our care? I would if you'd really feel you can handle him, said an older woman who entered the room. She was wearing surgical scrubs and introduced herself. I'm Dr. Kelly Vasquez. If you feel that you can handle him without him getting further injury, I will release him to you in 2 days. The 24th of September 1999. 2 days after being admitted, he shakily walked out of the hospital into the caring hands of Vicky and Cindy. Zachary, I'll be seeing you in about 8 days, then I'll re-examine your wounds and decide if it's safe to take out your sutures. The doctor turned to the girls and smiled, saying, good luck. They brought Zachary home to Vicky's place, where they had expanded the Lord's bedroom into a nursery just for him. Vicky and Cindy had added bars to the side of the canopy bed, making it a giant crib. The girls wasted no time in laying him down and dressing him in baby clothes they had worked to make for him. Zachary was far too exhausted to resist and quietly went along with the girls. The 25th of September 1999. The first nights out of the hospital, Zachary slept clean trough. That morning he was awoke by Vicky, removing his diapers. First she stated to clean him up. Once that was done, she undid her own diapers and mounted him. The two continued having sex for almost half an hour until they were both spent. Cindy watched from the door as the two played. She entered just after Vicky replaced her diaper. Cindy re-cleaned and diapered him. So Zachary, how was your first night out of the hospital? It sure was nice to sleep without having someone poke or prod me every couple hours. Zachary commented to Cindy and Vicky as she re-entered the room. The two now helped him into the kitchen so he could have breakfast. They fed him toddler style, allowing him to use a spoon, and they made him wear a baby bib. This feels silly, Zachary complained. Vicky said, we told the doctor that we would be taking total care of you for the next 8 days. Then she will take the stitches out. She's making a house call just for you. Since it looks like you're done, take this. She gave him a pill for pain. Now if you would like, you can join the rest of us babies in the den. There you can watch the TV and have your bottle. Vicky helped him to his feet and removed the bib. Next she helped him to the den to join Cindy and Vicky. The three sat on the fur rug near the fireplace drinking their bottle as they watched the morning cartoons. As they watched TV, Agamemnon and Dust Bunny spent their time in chasing each other around the den. Zachary, Vicky asked. What? He replied. Last night while I slept, I had a strange dream. It was like I was looking at the world through Dust Bunny's eyes. Really? Zachary sat up more on the couch and took the bottle out of his mouth. Yes, I could see the house as what Dust Bunny saw as he explored the house at night. Maybe Dust Bunny is more than just a pet. He could be a familiar, Zachary replied. What's a familiar? Asked Cindy. A familiar is an animal that is drawn to a witch, sorcerer, or mage. There is a psychic bond between them. As one sees and feels the animal, and the person can see and feel. So how can we tell if Dust Bunny is my familiar? Vicky asked. Tomorrow night when the cats explore, relax and let the images flow. In the morning you should have a better understanding of what and where the cats explore. We can look there to see if they were there the night before. That sounds simple enough, but how will we know for sure? Vicky pressed. We won't, only you will know, right Zach? Cindy asked. That's right, Zachary confirmed. Now babies, our bottles are gone, my pants are squishy, I don't know about you two. What are we going to do today? Zachary asked the two girls. Well, we could bring up some more of the boxes from downstairs. They all need to be gone through, since we have not real idea what is in them. Vicky then got up and said, all in favor say aye. Zachary said, ear. Cindy said, nose. Vicky smiled and said, close enough. The two girls set off down the stair, allowing Zachary and the cat to sit in the ballroom and go through the box they brought up. The first 2 boxes were quite battered, the cardboard water stained in several places. Slowly they opened the box, fearing that it might fall into dust. Inside they found several old books on anatomy, physiology, and medicine from the 1800s. Each one has the same name inside: Robert Stuart Macbeth, Major, Surgeon, and Fifth Army of Maine. As they removed more and more books, they came to a wooden box. The wood on the outside was badly damaged by water and age. On the front was a small lock. Vicky quickly opened it with one of the keys from the ring. Inside the box was a complete set of surgical instruments from the Civil War. All were remarkably very well preserved. In the bottom of the box was a piece of glass wrapped in a moth-eaten wool cloak, inside smaller box. Cindy picked up the glass. Why would someone go through all the trouble to save a piece of dirty glass? "Let me take a look at that glass," Vicky said. She held the glass up to the light and looked at it carefully. As she did, she began to see images in the glass itself. "Zachary," Vicky asked, "you're a historian, what am I looking at?" Zachary carefully took the pane of glass from Vicky. "This is a photographic negative from the Civil War. Possible shot by Brady himself, in his travels." Rewrapping it, he gently placed it aside. As Vicky bent over to check that everything was out the box, Zachary felt her diapered bottom. Oh, looks like baby still has the runs." Vicky turned, slapping his hand. "Naughty baby," she said. "Why am I naughty? You're the one who should be changed." "Unless you like having diaper rash," Zachary teased. Cindy walked over to Vicky. Instead of look down the back like she always did, she pulled open her diaper at the inside of the leg. Vicky's mess began to ooze out of the diaper into the plastic pants. Cindy said in a very stern maternal fashion, "Vicky, you will march right into the laundry room and I will change you there." Turning to Zachary, she felt the crotch of his diapers. "You're not any cleaner," she scolded, "so off with you too." As the two girls headed toward the laundry room to the makeshift changing station, Zachary followed behind. When they stopped to enter, Zachary squashed the back of Cindy's diapers, causing her diaper to leak and her mess to go up her back and soil her t-shirt. "My," he said, "this mommy should be changed too." "I should spanking the both of you for not changing after breakfast," Zachary scolded. "Good," Vicky said, "then we get to spank you too, for not telling us you're messy as well." "You'll go first," Zachary said. Each girl lay on the changing pad, and Zachary with the help of the other cleaned up and re-diapered the other. Next the ladies did Zachary. Before he could get up, the two quickly had him turned over and began to spank him. It wasn't hard, but more in play. Each gave him 10 swats apiece on his diapered bottom. Once they were done, each girl lay over his lap and he gave each girl 20 swats as well. The three giggled so much that by the time they left the room they were soaked again, and Vicky was heavily soiled from her diarrhea. "Let's go change again upstairs," Vicky suggested with a mischievous grin. The two ladies helped Zachary up the stair to the crib. Vicky was the first changed. Once she was cleaned up, Cindy held her down as Zachary teased her breast and clit to orgasm. As she orgasmed, she pee and pooped all over the changing pad she was on. As she lay there exhausted, she was cleaned and diapered. Cindy was the next to enjoy this new game, loving it as much as Vicky does. Since she hadn't made a mess yet, the two laid Zachary down and began to play with him. As Vicky played with his penis, Zachary played with Cindy, bring her to another orgasm. Afterwards, Vicky cleaned Zachary with the baby wipes and put a clean diaper on him and Cindy. Feeling tired from their playtime, they all took an afternoon nap in the big crib. Vicky awoke first from their nap. She quickly awoke Zachary and Cindy. "We gotta go downstairs." "Why?" said Cindy, yawning. "What's down there?" "You'll see in a minute." Zachary, get up, you'll wanna see this too. "Let's change first. I do not think it's a good idea to have diapers leaking all over the house." Zachary got to his knees. "Okay, who's first?" Cindy lay down and said, "Me." Zachary quickly changed Cindy. It took a while longer to change Vicky with the way her stomach was acting. Both the girls changed Zachary last. That being done, they quickly walked down the stair to the ballroom. Vicky then asked, Cindy, I want you to help me bring up a trunk, it's not that big. Cindy agreed, and soon the two found themselves in the basement carrying up a suitcase-sized chest. They set it down in the ballroom. Vicky directed everyone to look in the hole in the side. So, Cindy said, it's a hole. The chest contains money, Dust Bunny showed me that, while he explored. There's only one way to settle this, Zachary spoke, open the damn chest. Using a key from one of the keychains, Vicky quickly opened the chest. She pushed back the lid, and indeed there was money. The currency ranged from coins to bills, some from the US, but most of it from foreign lands, all of it very old. It must have taken whoever collected this years to amass this pile of assorted wealth, Zachary said. But who would go through all the trouble, Cindy said. Possible a madman who thought that he might be on the run. Daniel? Cindy questioned. It almost makes sense in a bizarre sort of way. The rest of the day was uneventful. They spent most of the day looking at the money and trying to determine from where it had come. Vicky again awoke everyone. Zachary, wake up. What? He sleepily said. I've had another vision from Dust Bunny. So go back to sleep, we'll check it out tomorrow. Zachary turned over and again tried to sleep. The Curse 6. The 26th of September 1999. Vicky awoke Cindy next. Cindy, I gotta show you something. What is it? Cindy asked. I think the cats have found another room in the basement. Another room, Cindy replied, now awake, let's go. The two descended the stairs and soon crossed the basement. Moving aside several large boxed and other junk, they soon found the outline of a door. Using a pry bar, the two were able to quickly clear the debris away from the door. After that, they tried every key on the key rings, but to no avail. Let's get Zachary, I'll bet he can open it, Vicky urged. The two returned to the room and awoke Zachary. They guided the sleepy mage down the stairs to the newly discovered door. It's locked, Zachary said, trying the door. We know that, Cindy said, can you open it? Yeah, sure. From nowhere, Zachary produced a thin metal strip. Quickly he maneuvered the strip into the lock, and in no time it was opened. The three opened a door that led to a corridor. Using a flashlight, they traveled to another door. Opening that one, they now stood before a rather extensive wine cellar. As they headed upstairs, Vicky asked Zachary, if I became your apprentice, would you teach me to do that? Teach you what? Zachary questioned. To pick locks and do the sleight of hand tricks that you do, Vicky stated. Those skills were never taught to me, by my master or anyone else, he added, I picked them up as I traveled. Zachary quickly ended that part of the conversation and headed back up the stairs. Vicky followed. Zachary, will you teach me to be a mage like you? Zachary kept walking. Zachary, please, pretty please, Vicky followed. Finally Zachary turned around. Why would you want to? You only know what you've seen, you have no idea how much danger there would befall you, if you were to follow me. You said I may have the gift for it, why will you not teach me? Vicky continued to plead. Zachary staggered past Cindy and lay down on the bed. Vicky followed him. Cindy looked at the two. I know why, she said frankly. Vicky sat up and looked at her, because he loves you. Zachary lay still on the bed. Vicky looked at him, then to Cindy. I know he loves me, but not in the same way he does you. I noticed it in the cave when we fought Melteroth. The look in his eye was different when you fell than I. Cindy sat down between them. She placed her hands in Zachary's. Zachary, I know you love me. As a brother would a sister, but not in the same way you care for Vicky. Zachary sat up. I know you haven't said anything to Vicky because you fear you would hurt me. It's okay, I want to see you two together. It would hurt me more if you never told your feelings to each other. Cindy turned to Vicky. Talk, you two lovebirds, I'll meet you downstairs. Besides, I just wouldn't feel right me being with my cousin. Cindy got up and left the two of them alone on the bed. Zachary, is that true? Vicky asked. Do you really love me? Yes, I do, and I could not stand to lose you as an apprentice, friend, or lover. It would not be fair to you or your father. So please do not ask me for me to teach you until I feel you are ready. I don't want to lose you. Zachary moved forward and gently kissed Vicky. Vicky responded and pulled him closer to her as they quickly moved into a more heated embrace. Cindy grabbed the cats and headed down the stair as the two continued their romp in the sheets. Dust Bunny, Agamemnon, when will I find somebody? I feel like I've been waiting my whole life. Then when I find someone they turn out to be my cousin. Well, fuzzballs, what should I do? She set the cats down in the den. Dust Bunny began to clean himself. Agamemnon turned and looked at Cindy and started to walk into the kitchen, his tail held high and pointed as if he wanted her to follow him. Cindy got up and followed the cat. Once in the kitchen, he jumped up on the table where they had set up Zachary's computer and modem. He stood on one side and meowed, while pawing at the keyboard. You want me to use the computer to find someone for me? Wait, Cindy said, why the hell am I standing in the kitchen not only talking to a cat, but ready to take his advice? After this remark, Agamemnon looked away as if she had hurt his feelings. I might as well give it a try, she said as she turned the machine on. Where do I look? She asked the cat. Agamemnon jumped off the table and landed on her lap. Once there, he pawed at her diapers. I'm going to find someone in my diapers, she quizzed the cat. Cindy clicked on Netscape and entered the password, and the Yahoo home page came up. Moving the cursor to the search area, she entered the words, adult and diapers. Next she clicked return. She stared at the screen as the search began. Of the first 20 addresses that came up on the screen, most were for companies selling baby or adult diapers. Paging down, she found one organization that caught her fancy, the Diaper Pail Friends. Clicking on this, she was transported to the DPF home page. After reading the legal formality, she entered the site. She smiled with happiness as she found the roster and its massive listing of singles, which were into diapers or would not mind having a girlfriend that had to be in diapers. She was so lost in though, that she did not hear Zachary and Vicky enter the room. She almost jumped through the roof when Vicky touched her shoulder. Are you okay? Vicky asked her surprised friend. Sure, I'm fine. You should see this organization I've just found. It's full of single and couples who are in diaper or enjoy baby play, Cindy enthusiastic continued. I know, Zachary said, I have it bookmarked, and I'm also a member. Well, why didn't you tell me about this place? Cindy admonished him. With all that's happened here in the last week or so, I haven't had time to even look at my computer, Cindy interrupted before he could finish. That's no excuse, you naughty baby, she slapped his diapered rear. So have you found anybody? Vicky asked. Not yet, but I'm not sure screening them, Cindy replied. I don't want to be stalked by some lunatic. That's a good idea, Vicky commented. What type of man are you looking for? Cindy looked at the screen as the answers to her search parameters came up. I'm not sure if I want a daddy or just another baby to play with. Well, whatever you choose, Vicky said, I just hope you're happy as we are. I hope so, but I don't think that there's anyone else in the world like my cousin, Cindy commented. She printed a list of the 10 she was most interested in. Look at he friends, she asked, do either one of you have a highlighter? Sure, Vicky said, digging through the kitchen junk drawer. Here it is, she said, handing it to her friend. Cindy highlighted 3 of the people on the list. They say they're babies, and I'd like another baby to share with. She chose one guy named Eon, who live in Portland. Well, I can write to him or I can call him, what do you think? She asked her friends. Write him, her 2 friends agreed. First get to know him on paper, then you can arrange a meeting. It sound like a good ideas, but what about emailing him? Cindy asked. I'd learn more about him on paper before I emailed him, Zachary advised. Get to know each other first before you make some big mistake. The 10th of June 1999. This morning started like every other morning, diaper changes, baths, and breakfast. Zachary was still being cared for by the inseparable team of Victoria and Cynthia. Zachary and the girl were almost finished cleaning out the basement and were reading item for a rummage antique sale starting on Friday. After lunch and the normal diaper chances, the three go to talking. Cynthia was spending more time online talking to a DPF member she had met out in California. His name is Doug and he's an architect. She told her friends. He lives in the Bay Area, but unlike me he just wears diapers for fun, mainly he's a daddy. So, Vicky asked, do you plan to meet him? Cindy looked at her friends. Well, actually we will all get to meet him this weekend. You see his fly out from the coast this weekend. Wow, Vicky said, have told your parents? No, but I guess I should. And soon, Zachary added. Well ladies, let's get a nap before the doctor comes. Zachary headed off to bed. The two girls continued to play on the computer until the doctor came. They led her upstairs to the sleeping Zachary. Zachary, Vicky called. Time to see the doctor. Zachary awoke. Hi, Doc. Hi Zach, it's time to remove you stitches. Dr. Vasquez had him turn onto his left side and removed the remaining sutures. After a thorough examination, she decided that he was healing well and could start to resume some of his normal activities as tolerated. She also stressed that he was still healing and to take it easy until he was at 100%. The 10th of July 1999. In the continuing week, Zachary, Cynthia and Vicky spent more and more time together, becoming best of friend and constant companions. This arrangement didn't change until Cynthia left to college in Portland. Vicky opted to become Zachary's personal assistant and studied history with a more hands-on approach, tutored by Zachary. But for all involved, their paths would again cross and there would always be more mystery beyond the curse of Burnt Cove. Curse 7. As two girls trying to remove his diapers, they awaken Zachary. Ladies, let us not play now, we have one last day to prepare. He got up and realized that he should have let the girls change him, as he was quite a mess. Laying back down, he relented. The two ladies changed him, but did not bring him off. Getting up now in clean dry diapers, he said, come. He walked into the kitchen and had each grab a bag of the iron silver filings. He led them out to the patio where they had seen the first summoning. He entered the ring and next on one side to the altar. He had the two ladies knee on the other side. He took out the dark purple shroud given him by the priest. He slowly unveiled it. The object looked to them like a microphone, with spikes on the outside. This is a holy water sprinkler. It is said to have been used to dispel demons in its country of origin, in the hand of St. Michael, so it is said. It will now again be used, but by the three of us. At dawn tomorrow the battle begins. He set the item on the stone, and began his chant. Soon the glow had encased them. Finally he took each girl by the hand. From three we are to be one in battle, our strength will increase and I give you my powers as well. Then you will each control a circle. He set his arthame on the altar, it glowed then grew into 3 separate blades. He gave a blade to each lady. Recite the inscription on the side to draw the ring, but remember you cannot leave the ring. If you do, death would be the best thing for you. If you are lucky. Well now my maidens fair, the glow faded, we ride. Gathering up their packs, diapers, swords, clean clothes, food and other needed items, they mounted the horses. He cried. They travelled about a mile further into the hill surrounding Zachary's house. I own all this, so don't worry, we're not trespassing. They soon came to a large pile of rocks. Whoa, he shouted, pulling back hard on the reins. This was the entrance, destroyed by fools. We'll leave the horses here. He dismounted and took up his pack. He took the reins of Nightmare, and let the two ladies dismount. The sun is fading, but we should have time to reach the back. The three hiked into the woods, for what seemed like miles upon miles of uphill rocks and crevasses. Just before dusk had completely overtaken the sky, they came to a large flat area of stones. One of these is the entrance. The dawn's light will reveal which one. The three set up camp. Okay, Zachary, how will we use the power we now share in battle? Vicky asked. How will we able to subdue a creature not of this world? We're just normal girls, right? Cindy inquired. You are far from normal, you're both virgins for one. Cindy, you are of the blood of my kin. Vicky, you represent the outside help, you have the most power over this beast, because you are not involved in the blood feud. Your powers will flow naturally like your life's breath, it will be instinctual. I will cast Cindy, you will intensity, Victoria, you will be the mediator. Together, if we are strong of heart and conviction, we will win. Zachary, lay down, we're changed and I know I am tired, so sleep, dawn comes early. The 21st of September 1999. Zachary awakened before the dawn, changed and rekindled the fire. He opened his pack and unrolled the robes he'd been holding for years. Placing them over his head, he wrapped the belt around, so it held without being tied. He draped the component pouches, and went to awaken the girls. Vicky awoke first. She had to admit she did not expect to see Zachary over her in black and silver robes, his head hidden in the depths of the cowl. I'm sorry if I frightened you, it's a cool fall morning, with a vile wind coming in, we may not see the sun, then all will be left in limbo until the spring. Cindy awoke next. What an ominous-looking sky, she commented, looking to the west. Do you think we will see the sun so we can find the entrance? I'll summon the wind, Zachary said as he spread his arms and began a silent chant. He drew with right arm from the east and pointed it west. As he did, a breeze started to build up around the trio. Soon the breeze had built into a gale force howling. The clouds split and a shaft of sunlight struck and warmed the ground. The two girls watched as the area grew and they recognized a natural hinge in the rock. There's the doorway, Zachary spoke. Ladies, push the stone. The two ladies pushed on one side of the stone and soon a passage opened. Zachary followed the two girls down, through the narrow dark stone passage. The passage widened as they walked deeper and deeper into the rocks. Soon they found themselves in a large vaulted chamber. The ceiling must have been at least 20 feet high, the rest of the chamber was round and over 70 feet in diameter. Zachary walked into the center. He picked up a stick from the dirt in the floor. The two girls got closer and noticed that this was not a stick but an ivory wand with silver caps over each end. It's probably left from some old Sabbath, it was used to draw the circle where the demon would arise. Judging by where it was found, its user crossed the line of his own circle, and became demon bait. Well ladies, let's mark where the 3 rings will stand till the battle can begin at dusk. Zachary walked out from what he believed was the original containment circle for the demon. From there he paced from the 12 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 4 o'clock positioning. Cindy, you will take the 8 o'clock, Vicky, you get the 4 o'clock. The casting will be done counterclockwise. They spent most of the day preparing, and fasting, as Zachary said, to purify the body and the soul. This actually helped avoid messy diaper changes, but it was what's specified in the 3 spell books and the mage's own Gilmore. As they finished the preparation, Zachary asked the ladies to come to him. Ladies, now is the time for the calling, get undressed and put these on. He handed each lady a white and gold robe. The robes, like his, had not seams, they were soft and seemed to be made of silk. He taught them how to tie the waist and where the items they would need would be hidden. As the 3 finished, Zachary noticed a small stream of light signaling that setting sun. To the circle's children, the battle will soon begin. Zachary took out his own wand and drew the containment rings and the junctures to the other rings. Then each walked to their circle. Whatever you see of you, do not leave the circle, within it you are protected. Demons have the power to tempt, but if you disbelieve them, the illusion fades. Steel yourselves, for if we fail, there will be hell to face. In the literal sense. Zachary stood and spoke the first words, Adam, Te, Dajaram, Amtet, Algar, Algasna. He then drew his Arthame and drew his ring. The 2 ladies followed. Soon the 3 were encased in rings of magic. As they spread the metal filings, the glow intensified. Aste menita akalgi neta tenet, ist naminus et deus, I summon thee, Melteroth, bastard of Ashtaroth. Sangli, Tobar, Viratorum, Tenebaltazosum. Soon flames shot forth from the earth, filling the central containment ring. Flames filled the juncture line, then approached their circles but stopped short. A great stench began to pervade within the chamber, and soon, with a sudden flash of eerie green light, there stood the beast. It looked at the girls and then turned its attention to Zachary. "So, mage," the beast mocked him, "you dare to summon me? Does the fool so avidly seek death? I see you've trained the children, they will be of little help. Flee now and wait till our legions enter your world. If you are that confident that you will win, please try. Exit the ring of flames and enter mine or the maiden's fair rings." Meltaroth stood upon its hind legs and began to laugh. The cavern reverberated with his voice as he grew to reach the ceiling. "You cannot stop me." The beast pointed a clawed hand toward Victoria. Soon the vision of her mother appeared. "No," she shouted, "you can't be here, you're dead." She closed her eyes and concentrated. Soon the vision faded. "So you were saying, Fulroth, the children will be of little help? One has defeated your illusions. What's next, sleight of hand?" Zachary mocked the demon. Looking over at Vicky, he smiled. Next, the breast turned his attention to Cynthia. A beam of eerie flame emanated from its other clawed hand and headed towards her. She began to say in a silent chant. The flames stopped short and circled around the chamber until they struck the ceiling, dropping a stalagmite upon the beast. All went silent. Then, in rage and anger, the beast flung the stone at Zachary. He fell flat to the floor and the stone struck the wall behind him. This caused several stones to fall and strike Vicky. "No!" Zachary shouted. He leapt to his feet and began to say a long whispery chant. The glow around his ring grew. Suddenly he loosed a wild blast energy that stuck the beast in the chest. The creature screamed in agony. Cindy joined in the fray, using the power Zachary had given her to strike. Out of the blue, Vicky fired a shot from the black powder pistol. The anointed silver bullet struck the beast in the back. It screamed in rage and agony. From its arm jetted a set of claws that struck both the girls, pinning them to the floor. Next, the beast turned its attention on Zachary. "Now, bastard, you will die in a most unpleasant way." Zachary reached around to his belt and grabbed the holy water sprinkler. Pushing a button in the handle, 4 vials of holy water sprung out, striking the beast. Zachary then shouted, "Ist nomine Deus, I cast you out in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit." He flung the now glowing holy water sprinkler at the beast, striking it in the forehead. The beast roared as a pure white glow began to envelop it. Suddenly, a shaft of blinding white split it in half as the beast exploded into a reeking pile of fetid flesh. Zachary fell to the floor exhausted. The 2 girls watched from their magic circles as they suddenly felt the floor beneath them begin to shake. The quaking earth unpinned them from the ground. Soon the rumbling built and the floor beneath the beasts remained split and the earth itself swallowed them up. When all was silent, Zachary staggered to his feet. All 3 of them were soaked, messy and a bit battered and bloody, but none though they worse for wear considering their ordeal. The 22nd of September 1999. "Hello. Victoria, Cynthia, Zachary, is anyone down there?" a voice called. "Down here," cried Vicky. Soon Commander Henderson, and the search and rescue group from the Coast Guard Station, and the Sheriff Department, entered from the opposite passage. "We felt the earthquake and got concerned when the horses returned to town. Rider less," William said. Zachary walked over to where the demon had been and picked up the holy water sprinkler. "Well, we were down here the whole time. May I ask how you go in through that entrance?" "The earthquake opened it back up," the commander added. "Zachary saved us all," Vicky added. "The demon is banished forever." "Right, Zachary." "You're right, now let us leave this moldy, stinking cavern," Zachary commented. They followed the rescuers out of the cavern, where they were met by a large contingent of townspeople, who had come out to see the rescue. Zachary boarded the rescue vehicle with Vicky cuddling to his side, Cindy on the other. They were driven back to town. Susan Macbeth, Cindy's grandmother, next met them. "The curse is over," Zachary spoke, as he hugged his great-aunt. "Finally," she whispered back. The entire group headed to Cindy's parents' home. As Zachary tried to enter, he suddenly collapsed. Vicky quickly ran to his aid. "Zachary," she cradled him in her arms, "what's wrong?" Zachary reached over and raised his arms slightly. The side of his robe appeared darker and was covered with a warm, sticky substance. "He's bleeding," she shouted, "he's bleeding," as her white robe was being covered by the blood oozing for the torn stitches in his side. "Medics, on the double," Vicky's father shouted, as two of his air evac medics charged to his aid. Vicky rocked him. "You can't leave me, not after this." Her tears coursed down her cheeks. Cindy pulled her friend away and hugged her as Zachary was taken to an awaiting chopper. "It will be okay, the curse is over," Cindy told her. Vicky's father walked over to his daughter and her friend. The three stood and watched as the dolphin lifted off, heading to Portland. After it had gone, her father spoke, "If you two girls get changed, we can meet him in Portland." The two girls looked at him as if he spoke a different language. "Come on, let's get you two out those the robes, dirty diapers, and into some normal clothes, and we can be off." The two wandered like zombie into Cindy's bedroom and changed each other. Cindy let Vicky borrow some of her clothes. They were almost the same size, with Cindy being a bit smaller on top. After they changed, Cindy spoke. "He's going to be all right. He's the hero, and heroes are supposed to vanquish the evil and live happily ever after." "This isn't a fairy tale, Cindy, but I don't think he's gonna die either," Vicky trailed off. "I just have a feeling." "Come on, you two," Vicky's father shouted from downstairs. "Hurry up, ladies, we'll be leaving in a minute," Edna said, "so let's go." The girls hurried down the stair and climbed into the back of Vicky's father's Land Rover, and they headed for Portland. It was an unusual trip, at least by the parents' standards. The girls said very little, and spent most of their time looking out the windows. Finally, after an hour's drive, they were in Portland and headed to the University Hospital. There the two girls ran up to the information desk and asked what room Zachary McLeod was in. The women asked, "Do you know when he was admitted?" She looked on the computer screen. "Wait, he was released about a week ago." "We know that, but he was brought in again today," Cindy said. "He should have just been brought in by a Coast Guard chopper," Vicky added. "Oh, the earthquake victim, he's in surgery." "Are you family?" Vicky said, "Yes, he's my fiancé." His father gave her a questioning look. Cindy smiled and said, "He's my cousin." "The family waiting is on the third floor, room 325, the clerk added. "Take that elevator to the third floor and follow the signs." When they entered the family waiting area, Vicky asked the clerk about Zachary. "How long has he been in surgery?" "Why are you family?" "Not yet, we're only engaged," Vicky answered. "He's been in surgery for about 20 minutes so far. They need to close up several bleeders that were tore open. After that, he is going to need several units of blood and plasma to make up for what he's lost." "When will we be able to see him?" "In about 2 hours. If you want, you can wait in the waiting area or visit the cafeteria or gift shop to help the time pass." Vicky turned to Cindy. "Should we wait or go get something to eat?" Cindy smiled. "Let's check out the gift shop." "Dad, is it all right for us to go find the gift shop?" Vicky asked. "Sure, we'll wait here for you," Vicky's father said. "Thanks, Dad." The two headed off down the corridor to the elevator. The two exited the elevator and set off down the hall for the gift shop. "Now let's see what we can get our baby," Vicky said. They wandered around the gift shop looking at the items. They chose Rugrats Get Well balloon, and a stuffed teddy bear. Next they went to the cafeteria and got some ice cream. They took their time in eating, but spoke very little, both being anxious enough with not knowing Zachary's fate. The two wandered around for about an hour before they returned to the waiting area. Upon seeing the girls return, Vicky's father said, "Zachary is being moved to a room on the 4th floor, we can meet him up there." Taking the elevator, they found Zachary's room with ease. Lying in the bed, his eye closed, his diapers visible, and an 4 started in each arm. The two approached with caution. Zachary's eyes opened and he said in a whispery voice, "Hello, ladies." The two went to him. "How's my baby?" Vicky said. "We got you some presents," Cindy said, showing him the balloon and giving him the teddy. "So Zach, when do they plan to release you?" Vicky's dad asked. "I don't know, the doctor is still pretty mad that I completely undid her handiwork in only 1 week's time. Right now she has me on bed rest, so until her orders change." "You're stuck here," Edna commented. "Exactly," Zachary said. Vicky's father then asked Zachary, "So when did you and Vicky become engaged?" "I don't know, but I'm sure Vicky will explain later." "Hey," Vicky said, "I have an idea. Do you think your doctor would release you into our care?" "I would if you'd really feel you can handle him," said an older woman who entered the room. She was wearing surgical scrubs and introduced herself. "I'm Dr. Kelly Vasquez. If you feel that you can handle him without him getting further injury, I will release him to you in 2 days. The Curse 8. The 24th of September 1999. 2 days after being admitted, he shakily walked out of the hospital into the caring hands of Vicky and Cindy. "Zachary, I'll be seeing you in about 8 days, then I'll re-examine your wounds and decide if it's safe to take out your sutures." The doctor turned to the girls and smiled, saying, "Good luck." They brought Zachary home to Vicky's place, where they had expanded the Lord's bedroom into a nursery just for him. Vicky and Cindy had added bars to the side of the canopy bed, making it a giant crib. The girls wasted no time in laying him down and dressing him in baby clothes they had worked to make for him. Zachary was far too exhausted to resist and quietly went along with the girls. The 25th of September 1999. The first nights out of the hospital, Zachary slept clean trough. That morning he was awoke by Vicky, removing his diapers. First she stated to clean him up. Once that was done, she undid her own diapers and mounted him. The two continued having sex for almost half an hour until they were both spent. Cindy watched from the door as the two played. She entered just after Vicky replaced her diaper. Cindy re-cleaned and diapered him. "So Zachary, how was your first night out of the hospital?" "It sure was nice to sleep without having someone poke or prod me every couple hours," Zachary commented to Cindy and Vicky as she re-entered the room. The two now helped him into the kitchen so he could have breakfast. They fed him toddler style, allowing him to use a spoon, and they made him wear a baby bib. "This feels silly," Zachary complained. Vicky said, "We told the doctor that we would be taking total care of you for the next 8 days. Then she will take the stitches out. She's making a house call just for you. Since it looks like you're done, take this." She gave him a pill for pain. "Now if you would like, you can join the rest of us babies in the den. There you can watch the TV and have your bottle." Vicky helped him to his feet and removed the bib. Next she helped him to the den to join Cindy and Vicky. The three sat on the fur rug near the fireplace drinking their bottle as they watched the morning cartoons. As they watched TV, Agamemnon and Dust Bunny spent their time in chasing each other around the den. "Zachary," Vicky asked. "What?" he replied. "Last night while I slept, I had a strange dream. It was like I was looking at the world through Dust Bunny's eyes." "Really?" Zachary sat up more on the couch and took the bottle out of his mouth. "Yes, I could see the house as what Dust Bunny saw as he explored the house at night. Maybe Dust Bunny is more than just a pet. He could be a familiar," Zachary replied. "What's a familiar?" asked Cindy. "A familiar is an animal that is drawn to a witch, sorcerer, or mage. There is a psychic bond between them. As one sees and feels the animal and the person can see and feel." "So how can we tell if Dust Bunny is my familiar?" Vicky asked. "Tomorrow night when the cats explore, relax and let the images flow. In the morning you should have a better understanding of what and where the cats explore. We can look there to see if they were there the night before." "That sounds simple enough, but how will we know for sure?" Vicky pressed. We won't, only you will know, right Zach? Cindy asked. That's right, Zachary confirmed. Now babies, our bottles are gone, my pants are squishy, I don't know about you two. What are we going to do today? Zachary asked the two girls. Well, we could bring up some more of the boxes from downstairs. They all need to be gone through, since we have not real idea what is in them. Vicky then got up and said, all in favor say aye. Zachary said, ear. Cindy said, nose. Vicky smiled and said, close enough. The two girls set off down the stair, allowing Zachary and the cat to sit in the ballroom and go through the box they brought up. The first two boxes were quite battered, the cardboard water-stained in several places. Slowly they opened the box, fearing that it might fall into dust. Inside they found several old books on anatomy, physiology, and medicine from the 1800s. Each one has the same name inside: Robert Stuart Macbeth, Major, Surgeon, and Fifth Army of Maine. As they removed more and more books, they came to a wooden box. The wood on the outside was badly damaged by water and age. On the front was a small lock. Vicky quickly opened it with one of the keys from the ring. Inside the box was a complete set of surgical instruments from the Civil War. All were remarkably very well preserved. In the bottom of the box was a piece of glass wrapped in a moth-eaten wool cloak, inside smaller box. Cindy picked up the glass. Why would someone go through all the trouble to save a piece of dirty glass? Let me take a look at that glass, Vicky said. She held the glass up to the light and looked at it carefully. As she did, she began to see images in the glass itself. Zachary, Vicky asked, you're a historian, what am I looking at? Zachary carefully took the pane of glass from Vicky. This is a photographic negative from the Civil War. Possible shot by Brady himself, in his travels. Rewrapping it, he gently placed it aside. As Vicky bent over to check that everything was out the box, Zachary felt her diapered bottom. Oh, looks like baby still has the runs. Vicky turned, slapping his hand. Naughty baby, she said. Why am I naughty? You're the one who should be changed. Unless you like having diaper rash, Zachary teased. Cindy walked over to Vicky. Instead of look down the back like she always did, she pulled open her diaper at the inside of the leg. Vicky's mess began to ooze out of the diaper into the plastic pants. Cindy said in a very stern maternal fashion, Vicky, you will march right into the laundry room and I will change you there. Turning to Zachary, she felt the crotch of his diapers. You're not any cleaner, she scolded, so off with you too. As the two girls headed toward the laundry room to the makeshift changing station, Zachary followed behind. When they stopped to enter, Zachary squashed the back of Cindy's diapers, causing her diaper to leak and her mess to go up her back and soil her t-shirt. My, he said, this mommy should be changed too. I should spanking the both of you for not changing after breakfast, Zachary scolded. Good, Vicky said, then we get to spank you too, for not telling us you're messy as well. You'll go first, Zachary said. Each girl lay on the changing pad, and Zachary with the help of the other cleaned up and re-diapered the other. Next the ladies did Zachary. Before he could get up, the two quickly had him turned over and began to spank him. It wasn't hard, but more in play. Each gave him 10 swats apiece on his diapered bottom. Once they were done, each girl lay over his lap and he gave each girl 20 swats as well. The three giggled so much that by the time they left the room they were soaked again, and Vicky was heavily soiled from her diarrhea. Let's go change again upstairs, Vicky suggested with a mischievous grin. The two ladies helped Zachary up the stair to the crib. Vicky was the first changed. Once she was cleaned up, Cindy held her down as Zachary teased her breast and clit to orgasm. As she orgasmed, she pee and pooped all over the changing pad she was on. As she lay there exhausted, she was cleaned and diapered. Cindy was the next to enjoy this new game, loving it as much as Vicky does. Since she hadn't made a mess yet, the two laid Zachary down and began to play with him. As Vicky played with his penis, Zachary played with Cindy, bring her to another orgasm. Afterwards, Vicky cleaned Zachary with the baby wipes and put a clean diaper on him, and Cindy. Feeling tired from their playtime, they all took an afternoon nap in the big crib. Vicky awoke first from their nap. She quickly awoke Zachary and Cindy. "We gotta go downstairs." "Why?" said Cindy, yawning. "What's down there?" "You'll see in a minute." "Zachary, get up, you'll wanna see this too." "Let's change first. I do not think it's a good idea to have diapers leaking all over the house." Zachary got to his knees. "Okay, who's first?" Cindy lay down and said, "Me." Zachary quickly changed Cindy. It took a while longer to change Vicky with the way her stomach was acting. Both the girls changed Zachary last. That being done, they quickly walked down the stair to the ballroom. Vicky then asked, "Cindy, I want you to help me bring up a trunk. It's not that big." Cindy agreed, and soon the two found themselves in the basement carrying up a suitcase-sized chest. They set it down in the ballroom. Vicky directed everyone to look in the hole in the side. "So," Cindy said, "it's a hole. The chest contains money. Dust Bunny showed me that while he explored. There's only one way to settle this." Zachary spoke. "Open the damn chest." Using a key from one of the key chains, Vicky quickly opened the chest. She pushed back the lid, and indeed there was money. The currency ranged from coins to bills, some from the US, but most of it from foreign lands, all of it very old. "It must have taken whoever collected this years to amass this pile of assorted wealth," Zachary said. "But who would go through all the trouble?" Cindy said. "Possible a madman who thought that he might be on the run." "Daniel?" Cindy questioned. "It almost makes sense in a bizarre sort of way." The rest of the day was uneventful. They spent most of the day looking at the money and trying to determine from where it had come. Vicky again awoke everyone. "Zachary, wake up." "What?" he sleepily said. "I've had another vision from Dust Bunny. So go back to sleep, we'll check it out tomorrow." Zachary turned over and again tried to sleep.